History is often written by the victors, but what about the stories that were never meant to be told? What about the whispers of power, the hidden rituals, and the shadowy figures who shaped the rise and fall of empires from behind the scenes? Today, we're stepping into the world of secret societies, groups like the Knights Templar, whose sudden disappearance still baffles historians, and the ancient Egyptian priesthoods, whose rituals held the keys to both divine authority and earthly power. These weren't just clubs for the elite, they were architects of empires, guardians of secrets that could make or break civilizations. What did they know? What did they protect? And how did their influence ripple through history, leaving traces that still echo in our modern world? In this video, we'll uncover the origins of these enigmatic organizations, explore their roles in shaping the ancient world, and dive into the mysteries that continue to captivate us centuries later. This is a journey into the hidden legacies of early empires where power, knowledge, and intrigue collide. Are you ready to uncover the secrets they fought so hard to protect? The story of secret societies begins long before the shadowy cabals of medieval Europe or the whispered conspiracies of modern times. It starts in the ancient world, where the first seeds of these enigmatic groups were sown. Take, for example, the Eleusinian Mysteries of ancient Greece, a religious cult shrouded in secrecy, dedicated to the goddess Demeter and her daughter Persephone. For over 1,000 years, these mysteries drew initiates from across the Greek world, promising them not just spiritual enlightenment, but also a sense of unity in a fractured society. The rituals were so tightly guarded that even today, we know only fragments of what transpired within the sacred halls of Eleusis. What we do know is that these ceremonies offered hope and renewal, tied to the cycles of nature and the promise of life after death. Then there were the Mithraic cults of Rome, which emerged during a time of immense social and political change. These groups, centered around the worship of the god Mithras, attracted soldiers, merchants, and bureaucrats, men seeking stability and camaraderie in an empire that seemed increasingly chaotic. Mithraism's underground temples, or Mithraea, were hidden from public view, accessible only to those who had undergone rigorous initiation rites. The cult's rituals, often involving symbolic meals and astrological imagery, created a sense of exclusivity and shared purpose among its members. In a world where loyalty was often fleeting, these societies provided a refuge, a place where trust was sacred and secrets were inviolable. But why did these groups emerge? The answer lies in the turbulence of their times. Whether it was the collapse of old religious orders, the rise of new political powers, or the pressures of a rapidly changing world, these societies offered something that mainstream institutions could not: a sense of belonging, protection, and access to hidden knowledge. They thrived in the gaps left by larger systems, filling voids with rituals, symbols, and a promise of something greater. These early societies didn't just exist in isolation, they set the stage for what was to come. Their use of secrecy, symbolism, and structured hierarchies became the blueprint for later organizations, from the Knights Templar to the Freemasons. The Eleusinian Mysteries and the Mithraic cults may have faded into history, but their legacy lives on in the way secret societies operate even today. They remind us that in times of uncertainty, people have always sought connection, meaning, and a glimpse of the unknown. And as we'll see, these desires only grew more complex as empires expanded and the stakes of power became ever higher. Ancient Egypt, a land of towering pyramids, colossal statues, and myths that have endured for millennia, was also home to some of history's most enigmatic secret societies. At the heart of this civilization were the priesthoods and brotherhoods, groups shrouded in mystery, who wielded immense power not just over religious life, but over the very foundations of the state. Among them, the cult of Isis stands out, a society devoted to the goddess of magic, healing, and rebirth. Initiation into this cult was no simple task. It required years of study, purification, and the mastery of sacred rituals. But what made these groups so influential? It wasn't just their spiritual authority, it was their role as keepers of knowledge. They were the architects of Egypt's most enduring mysteries, the ones who preserved the secrets of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering that allowed them to construct wonders like the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza, for example. Built with astonishing precision, its alignment with celestial bodies and its near-perfect proportions have led many to wonder, was this the work of mere laborers, or did the priesthoods possess knowledge that has since been lost? Some theories suggest that these societies had access to advanced astronomical tools, allowing them to chart the stars with remarkable accuracy. Others propose that they may have understood principles of mathematics and geometry far beyond what we've traditionally credited to ancient civilizations. Whatever the truth, it's clear that these groups weren't just spiritual leaders, they were advisors to pharaohs, guiding the course of an empire with their insights and wisdom. The Sphinx, too, holds clues to their legacy. Carved from a single block of limestone, this enigmatic statue has puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. Why was it built? What secrets does it guard? Some believe it served as a gateway to hidden knowledge, a symbol of the priesthood's connection to the divine. Others see it as a testament to their mastery of art and engineering, a monument that continues to inspire awe thousands of years later. Regardless of its purpose, the Sphinx stands as a reminder of the power these societies held not just over the physical world, but over the imaginations of those who came after them. But their influence didn't end with ancient Egypt. The knowledge they guarded, the rituals they performed, and the symbols they left behind may have traveled far beyond the Nile. Some historians argue that the ideas and practices of these priesthoods influenced later civilizations, from the Greeks to the Romans, and even the secret societies of medieval Europe. Could the rituals of the cult of Isis have inspired the Eleusinian Mysteries? Did the mathematical precision of the pyramid builders lay the groundwork for the architectural marvels of the Renaissance? While we may never know for certain, the echoes of their legacy are impossible to ignore. What's fascinating is how these societies balanced their spiritual and practical roles. They weren't just mystics lost in ritual, they were scholars, engineers, and statesmen. They understood that knowledge was power, and they guarded it carefully, passing it down only to those deemed worthy. In a world where empires rose and fell, they were the keepers of continuity, the ones who ensured that the secrets of the past survived to shape the future. And as we'll see, this tradition of secrecy and knowledge wasn't unique to Egypt. It was a pattern that repeated itself across cultures, each time leaving its mark on the course of history. Among the annals of secret societies, few names resonate as powerfully as the Knights Templar. Emerging during the Crusades in the early 12th century, this order of warrior monks began as a small band of knights sworn to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. But within a few short decades, they transformed into one of the most formidable and wealthy organizations of the medieval world. How did a group of devout soldiers become so powerful, and why does their story continue to captivate us centuries later? The answer lies in their unique blend of faith, military strategy, and an almost supernatural aura of secrecy. The Templars' rise to prominence was nothing short of extraordinary. Endorsed by the Catholic Church, they grew into a vast network of fortresses, banks, and fleets, amassing wealth that rivaled kingdoms. Their financial innovations, including an early form of banking, allowed pilgrims to deposit funds in Europe and withdraw them in the Holy Land, a system that made them indispensable to the medieval economy. But it wasn't just their wealth that made them legendary. The Templars were also fierce warriors, their white mantles adorned with the iconic red cross becoming a symbol of both piety and power on the battlefield. They were a force to be reckoned with, their reputation for discipline and bravery earning them both allies and enemies. Yet, as quickly as they rose, the Templars' downfall was even more dramatic. By the early 14th century, their influence had become a threat to powerful rulers, particularly King Philip IV of France. Accused of heresy, blasphemy, and secret rituals, the order was brutally dismantled. Many of its members were arrested, tortured, and executed, including their last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, who was burned at the stake in Paris in 1314. The Templars' vast wealth and properties were seized, and their once mighty order was officially dissolved. But here's where the mystery deepens. Did the Templars truly vanish, or did they go underground, preserving their secrets and treasures for centuries to come? This question has fueled countless theories and legends. Some believe the Templars discovered something extraordinary during their time in the Holy Land, perhaps the Ark of the Covenant, said to contain the tablets of the Ten Commandments, or even the Holy Grail, the cup used by Christ at the Last Supper. These artifacts, if they existed, would have been unimaginably valuable, both spiritually and materially. Could the Templars have hidden them away, safeguarding their discovery from those who sought to destroy them? Others speculate that the order survived in secret, its members blending into other societies or forming new ones like the Freemasons, who adopted many of the Templars' symbols and rituals. The Templars' legacy is undeniable. Their influence can be seen in the architecture of Gothic cathedrals, the rituals of modern fraternal orders, and even in the way we think about secrecy and power. They remind us that history is often shaped not just by what happens in the open, but by what occurs in the shadows. And as we look at other secret societies that followed in their footsteps, we can't help but wonder, what other secrets might they have passed down? What hidden threads connect these enigmatic groups across time and geography? The story of the Knights Templar is more than just a tale of rise and fall, it's a window into the enduring allure of the unknown, and the lengths to which people will go to protect what they hold sacred. While the Knights Templar may be one of the most famous secret societies in history, they were far from the first to operate in the shadows of power. Long before the medieval world, the Roman Empire was home to its own enigmatic groups, quietly shaping the course of one of the most influential civilizations in history. Among these were the collegiate guilds of artisans, merchants, and craftsmen, and the Vestal Virgins, a sacred sisterhood whose role in Roman society was as mysterious as it was vital. These groups didn't just exist on the fringes, they were woven into the very fabric of Roman life, maintaining social order, preserving ancient traditions, and even influencing political decisions. But how did they operate, and what made them so indispensable to the empire? Take the Vestal Virgins, for example. Chosen as young girls from Rome's most distinguished families, these priestesses were tasked with a sacred duty to keep the eternal flame of Vesta, the goddess of the hearth, burning at all times. This flame wasn't just a symbol, it was believed to be the literal lifeblood of Rome. If the flame ever went out, it was seen as an omen of disaster, a sign that the gods had withdrawn their favor. The Vestals were more than just caretakers of a fire, they were the spiritual guardians of the empire, Their purity and devotion were seen as essential to Rome's survival, and their influence extended far beyond the temple. They had the power to pardon criminals, mediate disputes, and even sway the decisions of senators and emperors. In a society dominated by men, the Vestals were a rare exception, wielding authority that few others could match. Then there were the collegia, the Roman equivalent of trade guilds. These organizations brought together people from all walks of life, from bakers and blacksmiths to shipbuilders and stonemasons. On the surface, they were practical associations, providing training, support, and a sense of community. But beneath that, they were something more. The collegia often functioned as secret societies, with their own rituals, symbols, and hierarchies. They were places where knowledge was passed down, where alliances were forged, and where the lines between professional and personal life blurred. In a sprawling empire where loyalty could be hard to come by, the collegia offered stability and solidarity. They weren't just about making a living, they were about preserving a way of life. What's striking about these groups is how they operated behind the scenes, often without public recognition. The Vestal virgins, for instance, were cloistered in their temple, removed from the hustle and bustle of Roman politics, yet their presence was felt in every corner of the empire. Similarly, the collegia worked in the shadows, their influence subtle but profound. They weren't flashy or overt in their power. Instead, they relied on tradition, secrecy, and the trust of their members. This quiet authority allowed them to endure, even as Rome itself underwent dramatic changes. But the legacy of these groups didn't end with the fall of Rome. The Vestal virgins may have faded into history, but their symbolism, the eternal flame, the purity of devotion resonated in later Christian traditions. The collegia, too, left their mark, influencing the guilds of medieval Europe and even the fraternal orders of the modern era. These societies remind us that power doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it's the quiet, behind-the-scenes efforts that leave the most lasting impact. And as we'll see, this pattern of hidden influence didn't stop with Rome. It continued to shape the world long after the empire's decline. As the Roman Empire crumbled and Europe entered the so-called Dark Ages, the world might have seemed like a place where knowledge and order were slipping away. But in the shadows of this turbulent era, a new kind of power was quietly taking root, one that would shape the course of history for centuries to come. Medieval Europe became the fertile ground for secret societies, guilds, and monastic orders, each playing a vital role in preserving the wisdom of the past while sowing the seeds for the future. These weren't just groups of like-minded individuals, they were the architects of a new world, working in secret to safeguard knowledge, advance crafts, and even influence the political landscape of their time. Consider the guilds, for instance. These were associations of artisans and craftsmen, blacksmiths, weavers, masons, and more, who banded together to protect their trades and pass down their skills through generations. But guilds were far more than just professional networks. They were secretive societies in their own right, with initiation rites, symbols, and hierarchies that mirrored those of earlier groups like the Collegia of Rome. Guild members didn't just share techniques, they guarded them, ensuring that their crafts remained exclusive and their power intact. This wasn't just about making a living, it was about controlling the flow of knowledge in a world where literacy was rare and expertise was a prized commodity. Through their influence, guilds shaped the economies of medieval cities, built awe-inspiring cathedrals, and laid the groundwork for the Renaissance's explosion of creativity. Then there were the monastic orders, like the Benedictines and Cistercians, who played a surprisingly active role in the preservation and advancement of knowledge. Monasteries became sanctuaries of learning during a time when much of Europe was engulfed in chaos. Monks meticulously copied ancient texts, preserving the works of Greek and Roman philosophers, scientists, and theologians. These monasteries weren't just quiet retreats, they were hubs of innovation, where monks experimented with agriculture, medicine, and even early forms of technology. In many ways, they were the unsung heroes of the medieval world, keeping the flame of knowledge alive long before the Enlightenment would fan it into a blaze. But perhaps no group captures the imagination quite like the Rosicrucians, a mysterious brotherhood that emerged in the early 17th century, claiming to possess ancient wisdom passed down from the Egyptians and Greeks. The Rosicrucians were said to be masters of alchemy, astrology, and esoteric knowledge. Their manifestos, published anonymously, spoke of a utopian vision where science and spirituality would unite to transform society. While the existence of the Rosicrucians as a formal organization is debated, their ideas undeniably influenced the intellectual currents of their time. They became a symbol of the quest for hidden truths, inspiring thinkers and scientists during the Renaissance and beyond. These societies didn't just exist in isolation, they were part of a larger tapestry, each thread contributing to the fabric of medieval and early modern Europe. The guild's mastery of craftsmanship paved the way for the Renaissance's artistic and architectural achievements. The monastic order's preservation of ancient texts provided the intellectual foundation for the Enlightenment. And the Rosicrucians' blend of science and mysticism hinted at a future where reason and imagination could coexist. Together, these groups remind us that even in the darkest times, there are those who work tirelessly to keep the light of knowledge burning. Their influence didn't stop with the medieval world. The ideas and practices of these societies would echo through the centuries, shaping the foundations of modern secret societies like the Freemasons and the Illuminati. The guild's emphasis on secrecy and exclusivity, the monastic order's dedication to learning, and the Rosicrucians' pursuit of hidden wisdom all left their mark on the way we think about power, knowledge, and the mysteries of the universe. As we'll see, these medieval groups were more than just relics of the past. They were the architects of a legacy that continues to shape our world today. Few secret societies have captured the public imagination quite like the Freemasons. Emerging from the medieval stonemason guilds of Europe, this enigmatic organization evolved far beyond its humble beginnings, becoming a global fraternity steeped in symbolism, ritual, and a quest for moral and philosophical enlightenment. But how did a group of craftsmen transform into one of the most influential secret societies in history? To understand the Freemasons, we must first look to the guilds of the Middle Ages, tight-knit communities of stonemasons who built the towering cathedrals and castles that still stand today. These guilds were more than just trade unions. They were guardians of closely held knowledge, passing down the secrets of geometry, architecture, and craftsmanship from master to apprentice. Over time, as the need for stonemasons waned, these guilds began to admit members who weren't craftsmen, shifting their focus from physical labor to intellectual and moral development. By the early 18th century, the Freemasons had evolved into a fraternal organization open to men from all walks of life. Their lodges became spaces for philosophical discussion, personal growth, and the cultivation of virtues like integrity, charity, and brotherly love. Central to their identity were their rituals and symbols, many of which drew from the tools of the stonemason's trade. The square and compass, for example, became emblematic of moral rectitude and the pursuit of balance in life. Degrees of initiation, such as entered apprentice, fellowcraft, and master mason, mirrored the progression from novice to master in the old guilds, but now they represented stages of personal and spiritual development. These rituals weren't just ceremonial, they were designed to instill a sense of purpose and unity among members, creating bonds that transcended social and political divides. The Freemasons' influence extended far beyond their lodges. Many of the founding fathers of the United States, including George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, were Freemasons, and their ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity echoed throughout the American Revolution. Some historians argue that Masonic principles played a significant role in shaping the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, though the extent of their influence remains a topic of debate. What's undeniable is that the Freemasons' emphasis on reason, enlightenment, and self-governance resonated deeply with the revolutionary spirit of the time. But the Freemasons' legacy isn't confined to the past. Today, they continue to operate as a fraternal organization with millions of members worldwide. While their rituals and symbols remain shrouded in mystery, their focus has largely shifted to philanthropy, education, and community service. Yet, the allure of their secrecy persists, fueling endless speculation and conspiracy theories. Are they simply a benevolent society, or do they hold deeper secrets that have yet to be uncovered? The Freemasons remind us that the line between myth and reality is often blurred, especially when it comes to secret societies. Their story is one of transformation, a journey from the quarries and cathedrals of medieval Europe to the halls of power and the pages of history. And as we consider their enduring legacy, we're left to wonder, in a world that often feels fragmented and disconnected, could the ideals of brotherhood and shared purpose that the Freemasons championed be more relevant than ever? Their story is far from over, and their influence continues to ripple through the fabric of our modern world, inviting us to explore the mysteries they've left behind. When we hear the word Illuminati, images of shadowy figures, secret handshakes, and global conspiracies often come to mind. But how much of this is fact and how much is pure fiction? To understand the Illuminati, we need to go back to their origins in 18th century Bavaria. Founded on May 1, 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, a professor of law, the Bavarian Illuminati was a secret society with a mission that was radical for its time: to promote Enlightenment ideals, challenge religious dogma, and oppose political oppression. Weishaupt envisioned a world free from superstition and tyranny, where reason and knowledge would guide humanity, but in an era dominated by monarchies and powerful religious institutions, such ideas were dangerous, and secrecy was essential. Despite their lofty goals, the Illuminati's existence was short-lived. By the mid-1780s, the group had been suppressed by the Bavarian government, which viewed them as a threat to the established order. Their records were seized, their members disbanded, and their influence seemingly erased. Yet their legacy endured, not because of their actions, but because of the myths that grew around them. Over time, the Illuminati became a blank canvas onto which people projected their fears and fantasies. From allegations of orchestrating the French Revolution to claims of controlling modern governments, the Illuminati transformed from a historical footnote into a symbol of hidden power. But what does the historical record actually say? Contrary to popular belief, there's little evidence to support the idea that the Illuminati wielded significant influence beyond their brief existence. Documents from the time reveal a group more focused on philosophical debates and intellectual enlightenment than on world domination. Their rituals and symbols, often borrowed from Freemasonry, were designed to foster camaraderie and intellectual growth, not to manipulate global events. Yet, the mystery surrounding their suppression and the secrecy of their operations fueled speculation, giving rise to the conspiracy theories we know today. Fast forward to the modern era, and the Illuminati have become a staple of popular culture. From books and movies to music videos and internet memes, the idea of an all-powerful, invisible cabal pulling the strings of society has captured the public's imagination. Celebrities, politicians, and even fictional characters have been accused of being part of this supposed elite, their every move scrutinized for hidden meanings. But why does this myth persist? Perhaps it's because the idea of a secret society controlling the world taps into a deep-seated human need to make sense of chaos. When events feel unpredictable or overwhelming, it's comforting to believe that someone, somewhere, is in control, even if that control is sinister. The truth, however, is far less dramatic. While the Illuminati's ideals of reason and enlightenment did influence the intellectual currents of their time, their role in shaping history has been vastly overstated. Their real legacy lies not in their power, but in their symbolism. They represent the tension between secrecy and transparency, between the desire for knowledge and the fear of what that knowledge might reveal. And as we'll see, this tension continues to shape our understanding of secret societies, even as their stories blur the line between history and myth. So, the next time you see an Illuminati reference in a song or a movie, remember the real story behind the legend. It's a tale not of shadowy overlords, but of a group of idealists who dreamed of a better world, and whose legacy, for better or worse, has become a mirror reflecting our own hopes, fears, and fascination with the unknown. While the West has its share of shadowy brotherhoods and enigmatic orders, the East was no stranger to the allure of secret societies. In fact, some of the most fascinating and influential groups in history emerged from the Far East, shaping the course of empires and leaving behind a legacy that still resonates today. Among these, the Triads of China and the ninja clans of Japan stand out not just for their secrecy, but for the ways they wielded power, resisted oppression, and preserved traditions in times of upheaval. The Triads, often associated with organized crime in modern times, trace their origins back to the 17th century, during a period of intense turmoil in China. Born out of resistance to the Qing dynasty, these underground societies were initially formed to restore the Ming dynasty, which had been overthrown. They operated in the shadows, using coded language, intricate rituals, and a strict hierarchy to maintain loyalty and secrecy. Their members, bound by oaths and symbols, saw themselves as protectors of Chinese culture and justice in a time of foreign rule. Over time, however, their goals shifted. While some branches remained true to their original mission, others turned to more illicit activities, blending their revolutionary ideals with the realities of survival in a fractured society. Yet, even as their methods evolved, the Triads retained their reputation as powerful, secretive forces capable of influencing politics and society from behind the scenes. One of the most dramatic examples of their impact came during the Boxer Rebellion at the turn of the 20th century. This uprising, led by a secret society known as the Righteous and Harmonious Fists, or Boxers, sought to expel foreign influence from China. The Boxers, who believed in supernatural invincibility through martial arts and ritual, were supported by factions within the Triads. Together, they launched a campaign against foreign missionaries, merchants, and diplomats, culminating in a siege of the foreign legations in Beijing. Though ultimately unsuccessful, The rebellion highlighted the enduring power of secret societies to mobilize resistance and challenge authority on a massive scale. Meanwhile, in Japan, the ninja clans were carving out their own niche in the world of secrecy and subterfuge. Unlike the Triads, who operated as large, organized networks, the ninja were often small, family-based groups specializing in espionage, sabotage, and guerrilla warfare. Emerging during Japan's feudal era, they served as covert agents for rival warlords, carrying out missions too delicate or dangerous for conventional soldiers. Their methods were as ingenious as they were ruthless disguises, poisons, and infiltration techniques that have since become the stuff of legend. But the ninja were more than just skilled assassins. They were also masters of survival, adapting to the harsh realities of a fractured and war-torn society. What sets these Eastern societies apart is not just their methods, but their motivations. While Western groups like the Knights Templar or the Freemasons often focused on spiritual enlightenment or political influence, the Triads and ninja clans were deeply rooted in the struggle for cultural preservation and resistance against oppression. The Triads sought to protect Chinese identity in the face of foreign domination, while the ninja clans operated in a world where loyalty to one's lord and survival often meant the difference between life and death. Their secrecy wasn't just a tool, it was a necessity, born out of the need to navigate a world where open defiance could mean destruction. When we compare these Eastern societies to their Western counterparts, the differences are striking. The Freemasons, for example, thrived in a more stable, hierarchical society, using secrecy to foster intellectual and moral growth. The Triads and ninja, on the other hand, emerged from periods of chaos and conflict, their secrecy a shield against oppression and a weapon in the fight for survival. Yet, despite these differences, there's a common thread: the enduring human desire to find meaning, connection, and power in the face of uncertainty. Whether through the rituals of a Chinese brotherhood or the stealth of a Japanese clan, secret societies have always offered a way to navigate the complexities of a changing world. Their stories remind us that secrecy isn't just about hiding, it's about protecting what matters most. For the Triads, it was the preservation of culture and justice. For the ninja, it was survival and loyalty in a fractured society. And for both, their legacies continue to captivate us, not just as tales of intrigue, but as reflections of the human spirit's resilience in the face of adversity. As we turn to the modern era, we'll see how these ancient traditions of secrecy and resistance have evolved, shaping the world we live in today. The Renaissance, often called the rebirth of classical learning, was a time of extraordinary change in Europe. But what role did secret societies play in this cultural and intellectual explosion? If we look closely, we'll find that many of the era's most groundbreaking ideas and artistic achievements were shaped, or at least influenced, by groups working behind the scenes. One of the most prominent of these was the Platonic Academy of Florence, a circle of philosophers, artists, and thinkers who gathered under the patronage of the powerful Medici family. Founded by Marsilio Ficino in the 15th century, the Academy wasn't just a gathering of intellectuals, it was a revival of the ancient Athenian school of Plato, dedicated to exploring the ideas of the classical world. Through their work, they brought forgotten texts and philosophies back to life, sparking a renewed interest in humanism, science, and the arts. At the heart of the Platonic Academy's mission was the belief that ancient knowledge held the key to unlocking humanity's potential. Ficino and his peers translated and studied works by Plato, Aristotle, and other Greek thinkers, blending their ideas with Christian theology to create a new intellectual framework. This fusion of classical and contemporary thought became the foundation of Renaissance humanism, a movement that emphasized the value of human reason, creativity, and individual achievement. The Academy's influence extended far beyond philosophy. It shaped the way artists approached their work, inspiring them to explore themes of harmony, proportion, and the divine. Figures like Leonardo da Vinci, though not formally part of the Academy, were deeply influenced by its ideas. Leonardo's studies of anatomy, engineering, and art reflect the same spirit of inquiry and synthesis that the Academy championed. But the Platonic Academy wasn't the only group shaping the Renaissance. Across Europe, secret societies and intellectual circles were forming, each contributing to the era's transformative spirit. In Venice, the Accademia degli Incogniti brought together writers and thinkers who challenged traditional norms, exploring themes of love, politics, and morality in their works. In England, the School of Knight, a group of scientists and poets, pushed the boundaries of knowledge, delving into alchemy, astronomy, and the occult. These societies were more than just clubs for the elite. They were incubators of ideas, places where the boundaries between art, science, and philosophy blurred. The influence of these groups can be seen in some of the Renaissance's most iconic works. Take Sandro Botticelli's The Birth of Venus, for example. This masterpiece, with its classical subject matter and emphasis on beauty and harmony, reflects the ideals championed by the Platonic Academy. Similarly, the architectural marvels of the time, like Filippo Brunelleschi's dome for the Florence Cathedral, were inspired by the rediscovery of ancient Roman engineering techniques. These achievements weren't just the result of individual genius. They were part of a broader movement fueled by the exchange of ideas within secretive circles. What made these societies so powerful was their ability to operate outside the constraints of mainstream institutions. At a time when the Church held significant sway over intellectual life, secret societies provided a space for free thought and experimentation. They weren't bound by dogma or tradition. Instead, they embraced curiosity and innovation. This spirit of exploration spread across Europe, carried by scholars, artists, and scientists who traveled from city to city, sharing ideas and forging connections. The Renaissance wasn't just a revival of the past. It was a network of hidden collaborations, each one adding to the tapestry of knowledge that defined the era. As we consider the legacy of these groups, it's clear that they were more than just secret societies. They were the architects of a new world. Their ideas didn't just shape the Renaissance, they laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment that followed. They remind us that progress often begins in the shadows, with small groups of visionaries daring to imagine a different future. And as we move forward in our exploration of secret societies and their hidden legacies, we'll see how these Renaissance ideals continue to evolve, influencing the course of history in ways we're still uncovering today. As the Renaissance unfolded, another enigmatic group was quietly shaping the intellectual landscape of Europe, the alchemists. Often dismissed today as mere dreamers or charlatans, these practitioners were far more than seekers of gold or eternal life. They were pioneers of science, philosophy, and spiritual exploration, working in the shadows to unlock the secrets of the natural world. At the heart of alchemy lay a dual quest: the transformation of base metals into gold and the discovery of the elixir of life. But these goals were more than material pursuits. They were metaphors for a deeper, more profound journey. The alchemists sought nothing less than the perfection of the human soul, using their experiments and rituals as pathways to enlightenment. Alchemy's roots stretch back to ancient Egypt and the Hellenistic world, where early practitioners blended chemistry, mysticism, and philosophy into a single discipline. By the medieval and Renaissance periods, it had evolved into a complex system of thought, one that combined practical experimentation with symbolic language and allegory. Texts like the Emerald Tablet and the works of figures such as Paracelsus and Hermes Trismegistus became foundational to alchemical practice. Yet, these writings were often intentionally cryptic, filled with riddles, symbols, and metaphors designed to conceal their true meaning from the uninitiated. Why? Because the alchemists believed their knowledge was sacred, too powerful to be shared openly. Only those who proved themselves worthy, through years of study and dedication, could hope to grasp its secrets. One of the most enduring symbols of alchemy is the Philosopher's Stone, a mythical substance said to hold the power of transmutation. But the stone represented more than just a way to create gold. It symbolized the ultimate goal of alchemy, the unification of opposites, the reconciliation of the material and the spiritual. Alchemists believed that by mastering the transformation of matter, they could also transform themselves, achieving a state of harmony and perfection. This idea resonated deeply in a world where religion and science were often at odds, offering a vision of unity that transcended traditional boundaries. While the mystical aspects of alchemy capture the imagination, its practical contributions are equally remarkable. Alchemists were among the first to develop laboratory techniques still used in chemistry today, such as distillation, sublimation, and crystallization. Their experiments laid the groundwork for modern science, even if their methods were often shrouded in secrecy. Figures like Robert Boyle and Isaac Newton, often hailed as fathers of modern chemistry and physics, were deeply influenced by alchemical thought. Newton, in particular, spent years studying alchemical texts, believing they held the key to understanding the forces of nature. In this way, the alchemists were not just dreamers, they were innovators, bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and modern discovery. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of alchemy is its use of symbolic language. Alchemical texts are filled with images of dragons, lions, and suns, each representing a stage in the process of transformation. These symbols weren't just artistic flourishes, they were a coded language designed to protect the alchemist's knowledge from those who might misuse it. For example, the image of a serpent devouring its tail, known as the Ouroboros, symbolized the cyclical nature of creation and destruction, a central theme in alchemical philosophy. This blend of art and science made alchemy a unique discipline, one that appealed to both the intellect and the imagination. So, what other secrets might the alchemists have guarded? Were their experiments purely scientific, or did they conceal deeper spiritual truths? The answer may lie in their enduring legacy. While the quest for the Philosopher's Stone may seem like a relic of the past, the alchemists' ideas continue to resonate in fields as diverse as psychology, literature, and even modern physics. Carl Jung, for instance, saw alchemy as a metaphor for the process of individuation, the journey towards self-realization. And in a world increasingly driven by technology, the alchemist's emphasis on balance and transformation feels more relevant than ever. The alchemists remind us that the pursuit of knowledge is never just about the answers we find. It's about the questions we ask along the way. Their story is one of curiosity, creativity, and the enduring human desire to unlock the mysteries of existence. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter in the history of secret societies, we're left to wonder, what other hidden legacies might be waiting to be discovered? As the world entered the Age of Enlightenment, a time when reason, science, and individual rights began to take center stage, secret societies found themselves at the heart of this transformative era. Groups like the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians weren't just bystanders to the sweeping changes of the 18th century. They were active participants, shaping the intellectual and political landscape in profound ways. At a time when monarchies and religious institutions still held considerable power, these societies became sanctuaries for free thought, offering a space where ideas could flourish away from the prying eyes of authority. But what made them so influential, and how did their ideals of reason and liberty leave an indelible mark on the world? The Freemasons, already well established by the Enlightenment, became a driving force behind the era's intellectual currents. Their lodges, scattered across Europe and the Americas, served as meeting places for philosophers, scientists, and statesmen. Here, men like Voltaire and Benjamin Franklin could exchange ideas, debate philosophy, and forge alliances that would shape the course of history. The Freemasons' emphasis on reason, tolerance, and self-improvement aligned perfectly with the Enlightenment's core values. They promoted the idea that knowledge should be accessible to all, not just the elite, and that individuals had the power to improve both themselves and society. This wasn't just lofty rhetoric, it was a call to action that resonated deeply in a world yearning for change. One of the most striking examples of their influence can be seen in the American Revolution. Many of the founding fathers, including George Washington, John Hancock, and Paul Revere, were Freemasons. Their commitment to Enlightenment ideals, liberty, equality, and fraternity became the foundation of a new nation. The Freemasons' rituals and symbols, steeped in the language of liberty and moral rectitude, found their way into the fabric of the United States. The eye atop the pyramid on the Great Seal, for instance, is often interpreted as a nod to Masonic symbolism, representing divine providence watching over the nation. While the extent of their direct influence remains debated, there's no denying that the Freemasons' ideals helped shape the revolutionary spirit of the time. Meanwhile, the Rosicrucians, though less visible, played a subtler but equally important role. Emerging in the early 17th century, this mystical society claimed to possess ancient wisdom passed down from the Egyptians and Greeks. Their manifestos, filled with esoteric symbolism and utopian visions, inspired thinkers across Europe. The Rosicrucians' blend of science and spirituality appealed to Enlightenment figures who sought to reconcile reason with the mysteries of existence. Figures like Isaac Newton, who dabbled in alchemy, and Goethe, who explored the mystical in his writings, were drawn to the Rosicrucians' ideas. Their influence wasn't just philosophical, it was practical, encouraging the pursuit of knowledge in all its forms. But the impact of these societies extended far beyond individual thinkers or events. They helped lay the groundwork for the modern world. The Freemasons' emphasis on individual rights and democratic governance influenced the development of constitutional systems, while the Rosicrucians' quest for knowledge contributed to the scientific revolution. Together, they embodied the Enlightenment's belief in progress, the idea that humanity could, through reason and effort, build a better future. Their lodges and circles became incubators for ideas that would eventually reshape society, from the abolition of slavery to the advancement of education and science. Yet, their legacy isn't without controversy. The secrecy surrounding these groups has fueled endless speculation and conspiracy theories, with some accusing them of orchestrating revolutions or controlling governments from behind the scenes. While these claims are often exaggerated, they reflect the enduring fascination with the idea of hidden power. The truth, however, is far more nuanced. The Freemasons and Rosicrucians weren't puppet masters, they were catalysts, creating spaces where ideas could grow and spread. Their secrecy wasn't about control, it was about protection, ensuring that their members could explore radical ideas without fear of persecution. As we reflect on their role in the Enlightenment, it's clear that these societies were more than just historical curiosities. They were part of a broader movement that transformed the way we think about reason, rights, and the potential of human progress. And as we move forward in our exploration of secret societies, we'll see how their ideas continue to evolve, shaping the world in ways that still resonate today. The Enlightenment may have been an age of light, but it was the shadows where ideas were nurtured and protected that made its brilliance possible. Among the many secret societies that have captured the imagination of historians and conspiracy theorists alike, few are as enigmatic or as controversial as the Priory of Sion. Claimed to have been founded in the Middle Ages, this shadowy organization is said to have deep ties to European royalty, ancient bloodlines, and even the Holy Grail itself. But is the Priory of Sion a genuine historical entity, or is it an elaborate hoax designed to captivate and confuse? To understand its story, we must first go back to the heart of medieval France, where whispers of the Merovingian dynasty and their alleged divine lineage set the stage for one of history's most enduring mysteries. The Merovingians, who ruled much of what is now France from the 5th to the 8th century, are central to the Priory of Sion's lore. According to legend, this dynasty was descended from Jesus Christ himself through a supposed marriage to Mary Magdalene. If true, this would mean the Merovingians were not just kings but divine figures, their bloodline carrying a sacred legacy. The Priory of Sion, it is claimed, was established to protect this lineage, ensuring its survival through the centuries. But the evidence for this is murky at best. While the Merovingians were undoubtedly a powerful and influential dynasty, the idea of a secret society dedicated to their preservation doesn't appear in any historical records until much later. The modern story of the Priory of Sion begins in the mid-20th century with a series of documents known as the Dossier Secrets. These papers, supposedly discovered in the French National Library in the 1960s, detailed the existence of the Priory and its grandmasters, a list that included names like Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, and Victor Hugo. At first glance, the dossier's secrets seemed like a treasure trove of hidden history, but upon closer examination, many began to question their authenticity. Critics pointed out inconsistencies in the documents, as well as the lack of corroborating evidence from other historical sources. So, were the dossier's secrets a genuine revelation or a clever fabrication? The answer, it seems, lies somewhere in between. In the late 1970s, a Frenchman named Pierre Plantard admitted to creating the Priory of Sion as a hoax, using the dossier's secrets to lend credibility to his claims. But even this confession didn't put the mystery to rest. Some believe Plantard's admission was itself part of a larger deception, designed to throw skeptics off the scent. Others argue that while the modern incarnation of the Priory may be a fabrication, it could have been inspired by real medieval groups or traditions. After all, secret societies have a long history of borrowing from older myths and symbols to create their own narratives. Regardless of its origins, the Priory of Sion has left an indelible mark on popular culture. Its supposed connection to the Holy Grail, a symbol of divine knowledge and eternal life, has inspired countless books, films, and conspiracy theories. Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, for example, brought the Priory's story to a global audience, weaving its mythos into a tale of intrigue and hidden truths. And while the novel is fiction, It taps into a deeper fascination with the idea of secret societies as guardians of ancient knowledge. In a world where so much of history feels like it's been neatly catalogued and explained, the Priory of Sion reminds us that there are still stories waiting to be uncovered. But what does the Priory's tale tell us about our relationship with history and secrecy? Perhaps it's not so much about whether the Priory of Sion is real, but why we're so drawn to the idea of it. In a way, the Priory represents the ultimate mystery, a society that claims to hold the keys to some of history's greatest secrets. It challenges us to question what we think we know, to dig deeper into the past, and to consider the possibility that some truths may never be fully revealed. And as we continue to explore the hidden legacies of secret societies, we're left to wonder, what other stories are waiting in the shadows, just out of reach? The Priory of Sion may be a myth, but its allure is undeniably real, a testament to the enduring power of mystery in a world that often feels all too knowable. As Europe's empires expanded across the Atlantic, secret societies found fertile ground in the New World. Here, far from the watchful eyes of monarchs and established institutions, these groups took on new roles, shaping the course of history in ways that would echo for centuries. Among the most influential were the Sons of Liberty, a clandestine network that emerged in the 13 colonies during the build-up to the American Revolution. Far from being a single, unified organization, the Sons of Liberty were more like a loose coalition of local groups, united by a shared goal: resistance to British rule. Their methods were as varied as their membership, combining public acts of defiance with secretive planning, all aimed at challenging the authority of the crown. The Sons of Liberty are perhaps best remembered for their dramatic acts of protest, such as the Boston Tea Party in 1773, but their true power lay in their ability to operate in the shadows. Using coded messages, secret meetings, and a network of trusted allies, they coordinated efforts across the colonies, turning isolated acts of dissent into a unified movement. Symbols played a key role in their resistance. The Liberty Tree, for example, became a rallying point for their cause, a living emblem of freedom and defiance. Rituals, too, were part of their strategy. Initiations and oaths of loyalty helped bind members together, creating a sense of solidarity and shared purpose that transcended local loyalties. In a world where open rebellion could mean death, secrecy wasn't just a tool, it was a necessity. But the Sons of Liberty weren't the only secret society shaping the New World. Across the colonies, groups like the Committees of Correspondence and the Freemasons were also playing crucial roles. The Committees of Correspondence, for instance, functioned as a kind of early information network, allowing colonists to share news and strategies in a time when communication was slow and risky. Meanwhile, the Freemasons, with their emphasis on Enlightenment ideals and fraternity, provided a philosophical foundation for the revolutionary cause. Many of the founding fathers, including George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, were Freemasons, and their involvement helped bridge the gap between revolutionary action and the ideals of liberty, equality, and self-governance. What made these societies so effective was their ability to adapt to the unique challenges of the New World. In a land where authority was often distant and fragmented, they filled a vacuum, offering structure, support, and a sense of shared identity. They weren't just fighting against British rule, they were building something new, a vision of a society based on principles of freedom and self-determination. Their use of secrecy and symbolism wasn't just about hiding, it was about creating a shared language and culture that could unite people from diverse backgrounds and regions. As the American Revolution unfolded, these societies evolved, their influence extending beyond the battlefield. The Sons of Liberty, for example, didn't disappear after independence was won. Instead, their legacy lived on in the new nation's political culture, shaping everything from the design of its symbols to the way its citizens organized and protested. The Liberty Tree, once a meeting place for revolutionaries, became a symbol of American identity, appearing on flags, coins, and public monuments. Similarly, the Freemasons' ideals of brotherhood and enlightenment continued to influence the nation's leaders, helping to shape the values and institutions of the young republic. But the story of secret societies in the New World doesn't end with the Revolution. As the United States grew and changed, so too did the role of these groups. In the decades that followed, they continued to play a part in shaping the nation's identity, from the abolitionist movements of the 19th century to the labor unions and civil rights organizations of the 20th. Their methods, secrecy, symbolism, and solidarity remained powerful tools for those seeking to challenge authority and create change. And as we'll see, their legacy is still felt today, not just in the United States but around the world, a testament to the enduring power of hidden networks in the fight for freedom and justice. The secret societies of the New World remind us that history isn't just made in the open, in grand declarations and public battles. It's also made in the shadows, in whispered conversations and secret meetings, in symbols and rituals that bind people together. They show us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, small groups of determined individuals can change the course of history, leaving a legacy that endures long after their names have been forgotten. And as we turn our attention to the modern era, we'll see how these ancient traditions of secrecy and resistance continue to shape the world we live in today. As we journey beyond the familiar landscapes of Europe and Asia, we arrive at the vibrant and enigmatic world of the Aztec and Maya civilizations. These ancient cultures, flourishing in what is now Central and South America, were home to some of the most sophisticated and secretive societies in history. At the heart of their empires were priesthoods and brotherhoods that wielded immense power, not just over spiritual life, but over the very fabric of their societies. These groups were far more than religious figures. They were scholars, scientists, and advisors to rulers, guarding knowledge that shaped the rise and fall of their civilizations. The Aztec priesthood, for example, was a highly structured and hierarchical organization, deeply intertwined with the empire's political and military systems. Priests were not only spiritual leaders, but also custodians of sacred knowledge, including astronomy, mathematics, and the complex calendar systems that governed Aztec life. Their rituals, often conducted in the towering temples of Tenochtitlan, were elaborate and symbolic, designed to maintain cosmic balance and ensure the favor of the gods. One of the most striking examples of their influence was the Templo Mayor, the Great Pyramid at the heart of the Aztec capital. This structure wasn't just a place of worship, it was a symbol of the priests' role as mediators between the earthly and the divine. Through their rituals, they sought to appease deities like Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, and Tlaloc, the god of rain, whose blessings were essential for the empire's survival. The Maya, too, had their own class of elite priests and scholars, known as the Kin, or Keepers of Days. These individuals were masters of astronomy and mathematics, using their knowledge to create some of the most accurate calendars in history. The Maya calendar, with its intricate cycles and precise calculations, wasn't just a tool for tracking time. It was a way of understanding the universe and humanity's place within it. The Aqin also played a crucial role in advising Maya rulers, interpreting celestial events as divine messages that guided political and military decisions. Their influence extended to the construction of monumental cities like Tikal and Chichen Itza, where towering pyramids and observatories stand as testaments to their advanced understanding of architecture and astronomy. But what truly sets these Mesoamerican priesthoods apart is their ability to blend science and spirituality. The Maya, for instance, believed that the movements of the stars and planets were tied to the fates of individuals and kingdoms. Their astronomical observations, recorded in codices like the Dresden Codex, reveal a level of precision that rivals modern science. Similarly, the Aztecs used their knowledge of mathematics to create intricate systems of measurement and taxation, ensuring the stability and prosperity of their empire. These societies remind us that the pursuit of knowledge is often inseparable from the search for meaning, a theme that resonates across cultures and centuries. Yet, despite their remarkable achievements, the Aztec and Maya civilizations faced dramatic declines. For the Aztecs, it was the arrival of Spanish conquistadors in the 16th century that brought their empire to an end. The Maya, on the other hand, experienced a more gradual collapse, with many of their great cities abandoned by the 9th century. Theories about their decline range from environmental factors like prolonged droughts to political instability and warfare. But while their empires may have fallen, their traditions did not vanish entirely. Many of their rituals, beliefs, and practices survived, passed down through generations and blending with new influences brought by colonization. Today, the legacies of the Aztec and Maya priesthoods continue to shape the cultural and spiritual landscapes of Central and South America. Indigenous communities in Mexico, Guatemala, and beyond still honor ancient traditions, from the Day of the Dead celebrations, which echo Aztec rituals honoring the deceased, to the preservation of Maya languages and astronomical knowledge. These traditions are more than relics of the past. They are living connections to a heritage that has endured against all odds. They remind us that knowledge, once preserved, has the power to transcend time and upheaval, offering guidance and inspiration to future generations. As we reflect on the hidden legacies of the Aztec and Maya, we're reminded of the enduring power of secrets not just as tools of control, but as vessels of wisdom. Their stories challenge us to look beyond the surface, to see the ways in which the past continues to shape the present. And as we turn our gaze to the modern world, we'll explore how these ancient traditions interact with contemporary cultures, creating a tapestry of history that is as vibrant and complex as the civilizations that came before. Africa, a continent rich in diversity and history, is also home to some of the most fascinating and enduring secret societies in the world. Among these, the Poro and San societies of West Africa stand out as powerful examples of how secrecy, tradition, and communal identity have shaped societies for centuries. Unlike the shadowy cabals of Europe or the warrior monks of Asia, these African societies were deeply rooted in the daily lives of their communities, serving not just as guardians of knowledge, but as pillars of governance, education, and cultural continuity. Their influence extended far beyond the confines of secrecy, weaving themselves into the very fabric of African life. The Poro society, primarily found among the Mende, Temni, and other ethnic groups in Sierra Leone and Liberia, was a male-dominated organization that played a central role in governance and social order. It wasn't just a secret society, it was a parallel government, one that operated alongside the visible structures of power. The Poro's leaders, known as the Zo, were revered as intermediaries between the human and spiritual worlds. They wielded significant authority, settling disputes, enforcing laws, and even deciding the fates of kings. But their power wasn't arbitrary. It was rooted in tradition, ritual, and the collective trust of the community. Through elaborate initiation ceremonies, young men were introduced to the society, learning the values of discipline, loyalty, and responsibility. These rites of passage weren't just tests of endurance, they were transformative experiences, shaping individuals into leaders who would uphold the community's traditions and values. Similarly, the Sand Society, a complementary female counterpart to the Poro, played an equally vital role in West African societies. Focused on the education and empowerment of women, Sand was responsible for preparing girls for adulthood through rigorous training in skills, ethics, and community roles. The society's leaders, known as Soe, were women of immense respect and influence, often overseeing the initiation rituals that marked a girl's transition into womanhood. One of the most iconic symbols of the Sand Society is the Soe mask, a wooden carving worn by the Soe during ceremonies. These masks, with their serene expressions and elaborate hairstyles, are more than just art. They embody the ideals of beauty, wisdom, and feminine strength. Through their rituals, the Sand Society ensured that women were not just participants in their communities, but leaders and custodians of cultural heritage. What sets these societies apart is their integration of secrecy with everyday life. Unlike many Western secret societies, which often operated in isolation, the Poro and Sand were deeply embedded in their communities. Their rituals and symbols were public, yet their meanings were reserved for the initiated. This duality allowed them to maintain their power and influence while fostering a sense of unity and continuity. Masks, for instance, were not just ceremonial objects. They were tools of transformation, allowing wearers to embody spiritual forces and communicate truths that words could not convey. Through these symbols, the Poro and Sand societies preserved their traditions, even in the face of external pressures and colonial rule. Their resilience was particularly evident during periods of upheaval. When European colonizers arrived in West Africa, the Poro and Sand societies became sites of resistance, quietly preserving cultural practices and knowledge that colonizers sought to erase. In some cases, they even served as conduits for organizing opposition to colonial rule, using their networks and traditions to rally communities and protect their way of life. This ability to adapt and endure speaks to the profound significance of these societies, not just as relics of the past, but as living institutions that continue to shape African identity. Today, the legacies of the Poro and Sand societies can still be seen in modern West African cultures. Their traditions of initiation, leadership, and communal responsibility have influenced everything from local governance to educational systems. The Soe mask, for example, remains a powerful symbol of feminine authority, celebrated in art and cultural festivals. These societies remind us that secrecy isn't always about exclusion. Sometimes, it's about preserving what matters most in the face of change. When we compare these African societies to their counterparts in other parts of the world, the differences are striking. While groups like the Knights Templar or the Freemasons often focused on individual enlightenment or political influence, the Poro and Sand were rooted in collective well-being and cultural preservation. Their rituals weren't just about personal transformation, they were about shaping entire communities, ensuring that traditions and values were passed down through generations. In this way, they offer a unique perspective on the role of secret societies, one that emphasizes unity and continuity over power and control. As we continue to explore the hidden legacies of secret societies, The stories of the Poro and sand remind us of the enduring power of tradition and the resilience of human communities. Their influence may be quieter, but it is no less profound a testament to the ways in which secrecy can be a force for connection, preservation, and strength. And as we move forward, we'll see how these ancient traditions continue to shape the modern world, bridging the gap between the past and the present in ways that are both subtle and transformative. The Industrial Revolution, with its roaring factories and sprawling cities, transformed the world in ways that were both exhilarating and unsettling. As society shifted from agrarian rhythms to the relentless pace of machines, secret societies found themselves navigating a landscape of unprecedented change. These groups, once rooted in ancient traditions and spiritual pursuits, began to adapt, taking on new roles in labor movements, technological innovation, and social reform. Far from fading into obscurity, they became key players in shaping the modern world, bridging the gap between the old and the new in ways that still resonate today. One of the most striking examples of this adaptation can be seen in the emergence of groups like the Luddites. Often dismissed as mere anti-technology rebels, the Luddites were far more complex than their reputation suggests. This secretive movement, which began in early 19th century England, wasn't just about destroying machinery. It was a desperate response to the rapid industrialization that was upending lives. Skilled artisans who had spent years perfecting their crafts found themselves replaced by machines and exploited by factory owners. The Luddites, named after the mythical figure Ned Ludd, organized in secret, using coded messages and nighttime raids to resist the forces of industrialization. Their actions were a cry for fairness, a demand that the benefits of progress be shared more equitably. While their methods were controversial, their legacy lives on in the struggles of workers' rights movements, reminding us that the fight for dignity in the workplace is as old as industry itself. But not all secret societies of the Industrial Revolution were focused on resistance. Some saw the rapid changes as an opportunity to push for social reform and technological advancement. The Freemasons, for instance, continued to thrive during this period, adapting their Enlightenment ideals to the challenges of the industrial age. Many of their members were engineers, inventors, and industrialists who saw their work as a way to improve society. Figures like James Watt, whose improvements to the steam engine revolutionized industry, were part of Masonic lodges, where they exchanged ideas and collaborated on projects that would shape the future. The Freemasons' emphasis on reason, progress, and moral improvement aligned perfectly with the spirit of the age, and their influence can be seen in everything from the design of factories to the development of early labor laws. At the same time, other societies emerged to address the growing divide between workers and the industrial elite. Groups like the Chartists in Britain and the Knights of Labor in the United States organized in secret to advocate for workers' rights, fair wages, and better working conditions. These movements, often operating under the radar to avoid repression, laid the groundwork for modern labor unions. Their use of symbols, rituals, and secret oaths wasn't just about maintaining secrecy. It was about building solidarity among workers who were often divided by language, culture, or geography. In this way, secret societies became a powerful tool for uniting people around shared goals, creating a sense of belonging in an increasingly fragmented world. The Industrial Revolution also saw the rise of societies dedicated to technological innovation. Groups like the Lunar Society of Birmingham, though not strictly secret, operated in a semi-private manner, bringing together some of the brightest minds of the age. Members like Matthew Boulton, Josiah Wedgwood, and Erasmus Darwin met to discuss advancements in science, industry, and philosophy, often conducting experiments that pushed the boundaries of what was possible. Their work laid the foundation for the modern industrial economy, proving that collaboration and the free exchange of ideas could drive progress in ways that no single individual could achieve alone. Yet, amidst all this innovation and reform, the Industrial Revolution also brought profound challenges. The rapid pace of change disrupted traditional ways of life, creating social tensions that secret societies both reflected and sought to address. Whether through the resistance of the Luddites, the advocacy of labor movements, or the innovation of scientific societies, these groups played a crucial role in shaping the modern workforce. They remind us that progress is never a straightforward march forward. It's a complex, often contentious process, shaped by the actions of individuals and communities working both in the light and in the shadows. As we consider the legacy of these societies, it's worth asking, how did their efforts shape the world we live in today? The labor unions that emerged from their struggles continue to fight for workers' rights, while the innovations they championed laid the groundwork for the technologies we rely on every day. But perhaps their greatest legacy is the way they remind us of the power of collective action, of the idea that even in the face of overwhelming change, people can come together to shape their own destiny. And as we move forward, we'll explore how these traditions of secrecy and solidarity continue to influence the modern world, offering lessons for navigating the challenges of our own time. The Ottoman Empire, stretching across 3 continents at its height, was a realm of dazzling complexity, a place where cultures, religions, and traditions intertwined in ways that still fascinate us today. But beneath the grandeur of its palaces and mosques lay a world of secrecy, where powerful groups shaped the empire's destiny from behind the scenes. Among these, the Janissaries and the Bektashi order stand out as 2 of the most influential and enigmatic forces in Ottoman history. These weren't just military or religious organizations. They were institutions that wielded immense power, blending discipline, spirituality, and secrecy to leave an indelible mark on the empire and beyond. The Janissaries, often described as the empire's elite soldiers, were far more than a military corps. Established in the late 14th century, they began as an innovative solution to a pressing problem: how to create a loyal, professional army in a multi-ethnic empire. The Ottomans turned to the devshirme system, a practice of recruiting young boys from Christian families in the Balkans, converting them to Islam, and training them in both martial and administrative skills. These boys grew up to become Janissaries, bound by an unbreakable loyalty to the Sultan. Their discipline was legendary, their training rigorous, and their role in the empire's expansion undeniable. From the conquest of Constantinople to the battles in Eastern Europe, the Janissaries were at the forefront of the Ottoman military machine. But the Janissaries were more than just soldiers. They were a society within a society. Over time, they developed their own rituals, symbols, and traditions, many of which were rooted in Sufi mysticism. Their connection to the Bektashi order, a mystical Sufi sect, added a spiritual dimension to their identity. The Bektashi, known for their tolerance and syncretic practices, became closely associated with the Janissaries, providing them with spiritual guidance and a sense of unity. This bond between military and mystical traditions was unique, creating a powerful blend of discipline and devotion that set the Janissaries apart. The Bektashi order itself was a fascinating institution, one that defied easy categorization. Unlike more orthodox Islamic sects, the Bektashi embraced a more inclusive approach, blending elements of Islam, Christianity, and even pre-Islamic Anatolian traditions. Their rituals were deeply symbolic, often involving poetry, music, and dance practices that some considered unorthodox, but which fostered a sense of community and spiritual connection. The Bektashi's emphasis on secrecy and initiation mirrored that of the Janissaries, creating a shared culture of exclusivity and loyalty. Together, these groups formed a backbone of Ottoman power, influencing not just the empire's military campaigns, but also its cultural and religious landscape. However, their influence wasn't without consequence. By the 17th century, the Janissaries had grown increasingly powerful and increasingly resistant to reform. What began as a disciplined corps of elite soldiers became a political force in its own right, often meddling in succession disputes and resisting efforts to modernize the empire. Their opposition to change ultimately contributed to the Ottoman Empire's decline, culminating in their dramatic abolition in 1826, when Sultan Mahmud II disbanded the Janissaries in a bloody campaign known as the Auspicious Incident. The Bektashi order, too, faced suppression during this period, as the empire sought to centralize religious authority and curb the influence of mystical sects. Yet, the legacies of these groups didn't disappear with their dissolution. In modern Turkey and the Balkans, traces of the Janissaries and the Bektashi can still be found. The Bektashi order, for example, continues to thrive in Albania and other parts of the Balkans, where its emphasis on tolerance and spiritual diversity resonates in a region marked by religious and cultural complexity. The Janissaries, meanwhile, live on in folklore, art, and even modern military traditions, their legacy a reminder of the Ottoman Empire's ability to blend the martial and the mystical. These societies remind us that power often lies in the unseen, in the rituals, symbols, and bonds that unite people across time and space. Their stories challenge us to look beyond the surface of history, to see the ways in which secrecy and spirituality have shaped the world we live in today. And as we move forward, we'll explore how these hidden legacies continue to influence modern cultures, bridging the gap between the past and the present in ways that are both subtle and profound. As the Industrial Revolution reshaped the world, the Victorian era brought with it a fascination for the mysterious and the unseen, a counterbalance to the rapid advancements in science and technology. It was a time when the rational and the mystical coexisted in a delicate dance, giving rise to a renewed interest in secret societies. Among these, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn stands out as one of the most influential, blending ancient wisdom with the era's hunger for spiritual exploration. Founded in London in 1888, the Golden Dawn wasn't just a secret society. It was a crucible of occultism, mysticism, and artistic inspiration, drawing in some of the most brilliant and enigmatic minds of the age. At its core, the Golden Dawn sought to unlock the secrets of the universe through a synthesis of ancient traditions, including Egyptian mythology, Kabbalah, and alchemy. Its members, known as initiates, underwent rigorous training in rituals, meditation, and symbolism, aiming to achieve spiritual enlightenment and mastery over the unseen forces of the cosmos. The society's teachings were deeply layered, combining practical magic with philosophical inquiry, and its influence extended far beyond its inner circle. Among its members were figures like the poet W.B. Yeats, whose works were infused with the Golden Dawn's mystical themes, and the infamous Aleister Crowley, who would later become one of the most controversial occultists of the 20th century. Together, These individuals transformed the Golden Dawn into a nexus of creativity and esoteric thought, leaving an indelible mark on Victorian culture. But what made the Golden Dawn so compelling? Beyond its rituals and symbols, the society offered a sense of purpose and belonging in an age of profound uncertainty. As industrialization and urbanization disrupted traditional ways of life, many Victorians turned to the occult as a way to reclaim a sense of meaning and connection. The Golden Dawn's emphasis on personal transformation and the pursuit of hidden knowledge resonated deeply, providing an alternative to the rigid structures of mainstream religion and science. Its influence can be seen in the era's literature, from the fantastical worlds of Arthur Machen to the Gothic horrors of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which drew on themes of hidden powers and ancient mysteries. The Golden Dawn also played a pivotal role in shaping modern esoteric traditions. Aleister Crowley, one of its most famous and infamous members, went on to found his own occult system, the Lemma, which continues to influence spiritual seekers today. W.B. Yeats, meanwhile, wove the society's symbols and ideas into his poetry, creating works that remain celebrated for their depth and beauty. Even beyond these well-known figures, the Golden Dawn's teachings have echoed through the decades, inspiring countless other groups and movements dedicated to the exploration of the mystical and the unknown. Yet, the Golden Dawn was not without its controversies. Internal conflicts, power struggles, and accusations of charlatanism plagued the society, leading to its eventual decline. But while the organization itself may have faded, its legacy endures. The Victorian era's fascination with secret societies and the occult left a lasting imprint on Western culture, shaping everything from modern spirituality to popular entertainment. Today, the Golden Dawn's rituals and symbols can be found in everything from tarot decks to fantasy novels, a testament to the enduring appeal of its mystical vision. As we consider the Golden Dawn's impact, it's worth asking, what drove the Victorians to seek out these hidden worlds? Was it a reaction to the rapid changes of their time, or a deeper, timeless human longing to understand the mysteries of existence? Whatever the answer, the Golden Dawn and its contemporaries remind us that even in an age of reason, the allure of the unknown remains as powerful as ever. And as we turn our attention to the modern era, we'll see how these Victorian traditions continue to shape the way we think about spirituality, creativity, and the search for meaning in an ever-changing world. As the world entered the 20th century, a new kind of secret society emerged, one that would cast a long and ominous shadow over history. The Thule Society, founded in Munich in 1918, was a group steeped in mysticism, nationalism, and a chilling vision of racial purity. Unlike the spiritual seekers of the Victorian era, the Thule Society's interests were far darker, blending occultism with extremist ideologies that would later find their way into the heart of the Nazi Party. But who were the members of this enigmatic group, and how did their ideas shape one of the most destructive regimes in human history? To understand their influence, we must first look at the society's origins and the beliefs that drove it. At its core, the Thule Society was obsessed with the idea of Aryan supremacy, a myth rooted in pseudoscientific theories and ancient legends. The group drew heavily on the work of figures like Helena Blavatsky, whose writings on theosophy claimed that humanity was descended from a lost, superior race. For the Thule Society, this mythical Aryan race was not just a historical curiosity, but a call to action. They believed that by reclaiming this lost heritage, they could restore Germany to its former glory and cleanse it of perceived impurities. This toxic blend of occultism and nationalism made the Thule Society a breeding ground for extremist ideas, attracting individuals who would later play key roles in the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. One of the most controversial aspects of the Thule Society is its alleged connection to Hitler himself. While there's no direct evidence that Hitler was a member, many of his early supporters and mentors were deeply involved with the group. Dietrich Eckart, a prominent Thule member and one of Hitler's earliest backers, is often credited with helping to shape the future dictator's ideology. Eckart introduced Hitler to the idea of a racially pure Germany, a concept that would become central to Nazi propaganda. Other Thule members, like Rudolf Hess and Alfred Rosenberg, also went on to hold influential positions within the Nazi regime, further blurring the lines between the society's occult beliefs and the party's political agenda. The Thule Society's influence extended beyond individuals to the very symbols and rituals of the Nazi Party. The swastika, for example, was a sacred symbol in many ancient cultures, but the Thule Society reinterpreted it as a sign of Aryan supremacy. Similarly, the Nazis' use of occult imagery and secretive rituals, such as the torchlit parades and elaborate ceremonies at Nuremberg, can be traced back to the Thule Society's fascination with mysticism and symbolism. These elements help to create a sense of unity and purpose among Nazi supporters, turning the party into a quasi-religious movement with Hitler at its center. But how much of the Thule Society's ideology actually shaped Nazi policies? While it's tempting to see a direct line from the society's occultism to the horrors of the Holocaust, the reality is more complex. Historians debate the extent of the Thule Society's influence, with some arguing that its role has been exaggerated. What's clear, however, is that the society provided a framework for the Nazis' racial theories, offering a pseudo-mystical justification for their atrocities. The idea of a master race, the obsession with purity, and the belief in a glorious destiny all found fertile ground in the ideology of the Third Reich. The legacy of the Thule Society doesn't end with the fall of Nazi Germany. Its ideas continue to resonate in far-right and extremist movements around the world, where the myth of Aryan superiority and the allure of occult symbolism still hold sway. From white supremacist groups to modern conspiracy theories, the shadow of the Thule Society looms large, a reminder of how dangerous ideas can be when they're cloaked in the language of mysticism and destiny. As we reflect on the Thule Society's story, it's worth asking, what drives people to embrace such ideologies, and how can we guard against their resurgence? The answer lies in understanding the power of symbols, the allure of secrecy, and the human need for meaning, even when that meaning is twisted into something destructive. The Thule Society may be a relic of the past, but its lessons remain painfully relevant, challenging us to confront the darker aspects of our history and the ways in which they continue to shape our world. And as we move forward, we'll explore how these hidden legacies of secrecy and ideology persist, inviting us to question not just the past, but the present and future as well. The Byzantine Empire, a bastion of culture and power that endured for over 1,000 years, was a realm where the sacred and the secretive often intertwined. While its golden domes and glittering mosaics are well documented, less visible were the hidden societies and orders that operated within its corridors of power. Among these, the Hesychasts and the Varangian Guard stand out as two of the most intriguing groups that shaped the empire's religious, military, and political landscapes in ways that still resonate today. At the heart of Byzantine spirituality were the Hesychasts, monks dedicated to a mystical practice known as hesychia, or inner stillness. This tradition, rooted in prayer and meditation, sought to achieve a direct connection with the divine through repetitive prayer and controlled breathing. The Hesychasts believed that by quieting the mind and focusing inward, they could experience the divine light of God, a concept famously encapsulated in the teachings of St. Gregory Palamas in the 14th century. Their practices were deeply personal, often conducted in solitude, yet their influence extended far beyond the monastery walls. The Hesychasts became key players in the religious and political struggles of the empire. Their emphasis on inner spirituality offered a counterpoint to the more formalized rituals of the Orthodox Church, sparking debates that would shape Byzantine theology for centuries. At a time when the empire faced external threats and internal divisions, the Hesychasts provided a spiritual anchor, reminding people of the divine presence even in moments of turmoil. Their legacy lives on in Eastern Orthodoxy, where their mystical practices continue to inspire believers seeking a deeper connection with the divine. On the opposite end of the spectrum was the Varangian Guard, an elite military unit composed primarily of Viking mercenaries. These towering warriors, known for their fierce loyalty and unmatched combat skills, served as the personal bodyguards of the Byzantine emperors. But the Varangians were more than just soldiers. They were a symbol of imperial power and prestige. Their presence at court sent a clear message: the emperor was protected by the best warriors the world had to offer. The Varangian Guard's rituals and traditions were as distinctive as their origins. Bound by oaths of loyalty, they operated with a level of secrecy and discipline that set them apart from other military units. Their iconic battle axes, often inscribed with runes, became symbols of their unique identity, blending Norse and Byzantine cultures. Over time, the Varangians became deeply integrated into Byzantine society, even converting to Christianity and adopting local customs. Yet they retained their reputation as outsiders, men who could be trusted precisely because they had no ties to the empire's internal politics. These two groups, the Hesychasts and the Varangian Guard, may seem worlds apart, but they shared a common thread: the use of secrecy and ritual to maintain their influence. For the Hesychasts, secrecy was a spiritual necessity, a way to protect their intimate connection with the divine. For the Varangians, it was a tactical advantage, ensuring their loyalty remained unquestioned and their methods unpredictable. Together, they embodied the duality of the Byzantine Empire, its deep spirituality and its pragmatic pursuit of power. The decline of the Byzantine Empire in the 15th century marked the end of an era, but the legacies of these groups endured. The Hesychasts' mystical practices became a cornerstone of Eastern Orthodox spirituality, influencing monastic traditions and theological thought to this day. The Varangian Guard, meanwhile, left behind a rich cultural legacy, their stories immortalized in sagas and chronicles that continue to captivate historians and enthusiasts alike. As we reflect on these hidden legacies, it's worth asking, what lessons do they offer for our understanding of power, spirituality, and identity? The Byzantine Empire's ability to blend the sacred and the secretive reminds us that history is often shaped not just by what is visible, but by what lies beneath the surface. And as we continue to explore the hidden legacies of secret societies, we'll see how these ancient traditions continue to influence the modern world, offering insights into the enduring power of faith, loyalty, and the human desire for connection. As the world emerged from the ashes of World War II, a new kind of shadow war began, one fought not on battlefields, but in the corridors of power, the backrooms of embassies, and the minds of ordinary people. The Cold War, a decades-long standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union, was a time of paranoia, propaganda, and profound secrecy. And while the conflict is often remembered for its nuclear brinkmanship and ideological clashes, it was also a golden age for secret societies, not the ancient, mystical kind, but modern, highly organized groups that wielded unprecedented influence over global politics. From the CIA's notorious MK-Ultra program to the sprawling networks of Soviet spies, these organizations operated in the shadows, using secrecy, espionage, and psychological manipulation to shape the course of history. But what were their true goals, and how did their actions ripple out into the world we live in today? One of the most infamous examples of Cold War-era secrecy is the CIA's MK-Ultra program. Launched in the 1950s, this covert operation aimed to explore the possibilities of mind control, using techniques like hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and the administration of hallucinogenic drugs such as LSD. The program's origins lay in the fear that the Soviet Union and China were developing their own methods of brainwashing, a concern fueled by reports of American prisoners of war in Korea appearing to defect or confess under duress. MK-Ultra's experiments, often conducted without the knowledge or consent of participants, pushed the boundaries of ethics and legality. While the program was officially shut down in the 1970s, its legacy lingers, not just in the public's distrust of government agencies, but in the countless conspiracy theories it inspired. Stories of mind control and covert experiments have become staples of popular culture, from films like The Manchurian Candidate to contemporary discussions about mass surveillance and psychological warfare. On the other side of the Iron Curtain, Soviet intelligence agencies were no less active. The KGB and its predecessors operated vast networks of spies and informants, infiltrating governments, universities, and even artistic circles in the West. These spies weren't just gathering information, they were masters of psychological manipulation, using techniques like disinformation, blackmail, and active measures to sow discord and undermine trust in democratic institutions. One of the most striking examples was Operation Infection, a Soviet campaign to spread the false claim that the United States had created the HIV virus as a biological weapon. This disinformation effort, though debunked, took root in parts of the world and contributed to lingering mistrust of Western governments. The KGB's methods were so effective that they continue to influence modern intelligence practices, as well as the tactics of state-sponsored cyber attacks and online misinformation campaigns. But the Cold War's secret societies weren't just about espionage and manipulation, they also shaped the cultural landscape in profound ways. The era's obsession with secrecy and control gave rise to a wave of literature, film, and art that explored themes of paranoia, identity, and the fragility of truth. Authors like John le Carré and Ian Fleming brought the shadowy world of spies to life, while films like The Spy Who Came In From the Cold and Dr. Strangelove captured the moral ambiguity and existential dread of the age. Even today, the Cold War's legacy can be seen in the popularity of conspiracy theories, from UFO sightings to claims of deep state manipulation. These narratives, whether grounded in fact or fiction, reflect a broader cultural anxiety about the unseen forces that shape our lives. So, how did these secret societies shape the modern world order? The answer lies in their ability to operate beyond the reach of public scrutiny, influencing politics, culture, and even individual lives in ways that are often invisible. The Cold War may have ended, but its legacy of secrecy and suspicion remains. Intelligence agencies continue to wield immense power, often with limited oversight, while the tools of psychological manipulation have evolved to exploit the digital age. Social media platforms, for example, have become new battlegrounds for disinformation campaigns, echoing the tactics of Cold War-era spies. As we reflect on this chapter of history, it's worth asking, what lessons can we draw from the secret societies of the Cold War? Their story reminds us of the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of transparency in a world where information is both a weapon and a shield. It challenges us to question the narratives we're presented with and to consider the hidden forces that shape our understanding of reality. And as we move forward, these lessons become all the more critical, offering a roadmap for navigating the complexities of a world where secrecy and influence are more pervasive than ever. High in the Andes, where the air is thin and the horizon stretches endlessly, the Inca Empire once thrived as one of the most sophisticated civilizations in the ancient world. Known for their breathtaking architecture, intricate road systems, and mastery of astronomy, the Incas also cultivated a rich spiritual and intellectual life, much of which was shaped by their secretive priesthoods and brotherhoods. These groups weren't just religious figures, they were the guardians of knowledge, the architects of rituals, and the trusted advisors to the Sapa Inca, the empire's divine ruler. But what exactly did these societies do, and how did their influence extend beyond the spiritual realm to shape the very fabric of Inca society? At the heart of Inca spirituality were the Amatas, a class of priest scholars who served as both spiritual leaders and educators. These individuals were responsible for preserving and transmitting the empire's knowledge, from astronomy and mathematics to history and philosophy. The Amatas were more than just keepers of tradition, they were innovators, using their understanding of the cosmos to guide the empire's agricultural cycles and religious ceremonies. Their ability to predict celestial events, such as solstices and equinoxes, was crucial for planning festivals and ensuring the empire's prosperity. The famous Inti Raymi, or Festival of the Sun, was one such event, a lavish celebration of the winter solstice that honored Inti, the sun god, and reaffirmed the Sapa Inca's divine connection to the heavens. But the Amatas weren't the only influential group within Inca society. The Willac Umu, or High Priest, held a position of immense power, serving as the spiritual counterpart to the Sapa Inca. This figure was responsible for overseeing the empire's most sacred rituals, including sacrifices and offerings to the gods. These ceremonies, often conducted at high-altitude shrines like those found at Machu Picchu, were deeply symbolic, designed to maintain harmony between the human and divine realms. The Willac Umu also played a key role in advising the Sapa Inca on matters of state, ensuring that the empire's policies aligned with spiritual principles. The Inca's mastery of astronomy and architecture is perhaps their most enduring legacy. Their cities, built with precision-cut stones that fit together without mortar, were marvels of engineering. Cusco, the empire's capital, was designed in the shape of a puma, a sacred animal with its heart at the Coricancha, or Temple of the Sun. This temple, adorned with gold and precious stones, was both a spiritual and administrative center, a testament to the Inca's ability to blend the practical with the sacred. Similarly, Machu Picchu, hidden high in the mountains, is believed to have served as a royal estate and a ceremonial site, its alignment with celestial bodies reflecting the Inca's deep connection to the cosmos. Yet, despite their achievements, the Inca Empire fell to Spanish conquistadors in the 16th century, its decline shrouded in mystery. The arrival of the Spanish brought disease, warfare, and the destruction of much of the Inca's written records. However, their traditions did not vanish entirely. In remote Andean communities, many Inca practices have survived, passed down through generations. Festivals like Inti Raymi are still celebrated today, blending ancient rituals with Christian elements in a unique cultural fusion. Indigenous languages such as Quechua, once the lingua franca of the empire, continue to be spoken, preserving the Incas' linguistic heritage. The influence of the Inca priesthoods and brotherhoods can also be seen in modern South America's cultural and spiritual landscape. The Andean concept of Pachamama, or Mother Earth, remains a central tenet of indigenous spirituality, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all life. Traditional healing practices, rooted in the Incas' understanding of nature, continue to thrive alongside modern medicine. Even in urban centers, the Incas' architectural legacy endures, with modern buildings often incorporating elements of their iconic stonework and design. As we reflect on the hidden legacies of the Inca Empire, it's clear that their story is one of resilience and adaptation. The priesthoods and brotherhoods that once guided the empire may have disappeared, but their wisdom lives on, woven into the fabric of South America's identity. Their ability to blend the spiritual with the practical, the ancient with the modern, offers a powerful reminder of the enduring power of tradition in a rapidly changing world. And as we continue our journey through the hidden legacies of early empires, we'll see how these ancient threads connect to the present, shaping the world we live in today. As the world entered the digital age, the nature of secrecy underwent a seismic shift. No longer confined to shadowy meeting rooms or whispered conversations, secret societies found a new frontier, the internet. Online communities, hacktivist groups, and digital collectives have emerged as the modern heirs to ancient traditions of secrecy, using technology to amplify their influence and reshape the world in ways their predecessors could scarcely have imagined. But how have these groups adapted to the digital age, and what does their rise mean for the future of privacy, activism, and even democracy itself? At the forefront of this transformation are hacktivist groups like Anonymous, a decentralized collective that operates under a veil of anonymity. Known for their iconic Guy Fawkes masks and slogan, "We are anonymous, we are legion," this group has become a symbol of digital resistance. Unlike traditional secret societies, Anonymous has no formal hierarchy or membership list. Instead, it thrives on the collective power of individuals united by shared ideals, using encryption and anonymity tools to coordinate actions that range from exposing corruption to launching cyber attacks against oppressive regimes. Their methods, while controversial, have brought attention to issues like government surveillance, corporate greed, and human rights abuses, proving that secrecy can be a powerful tool for activism in the digital age. But it's not just hacktivists who are leveraging the power of the internet. Online forums and communities, often hidden behind layers of encryption, have become breeding grounds for new forms of secret societies. Platforms like 4chan and Discord host groups that range from harmless hobbyists to those with more nefarious agendas. These digital spaces allow like-minded individuals to connect, share ideas, and organize in ways that bypass traditional gatekeepers. For some, this is a force for good, fostering collaboration and innovation. For others, it's a double-edged sword, enabling the spread of misinformation, conspiracy theories, and even extremism. One of the most striking developments in the digital age is the rise of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Originally created as a decentralized alternative to traditional financial systems, these technologies have become tools for secrecy and autonomy. Groups like WikiLeaks, which rely on anonymous donations through Bitcoin, have used these innovations to challenge powerful institutions and expose hidden truths. At the same time, the anonymity provided by cryptocurrencies has also made them a haven for illicit activities, from money laundering to the funding of illegal operations. This duality underscores the complex relationship between secrecy, power, and ethics in the digital era. The influence of these digital societies extends far beyond their immediate actions. They've forced governments and corporations to rethink their approach to cybersecurity and privacy. The rise of encryption tools like Signal and Tor, originally developed to protect activists and whistleblowers, has become a cornerstone of modern communication. Even as these tools empower individuals, they also pose challenges for law enforcement and national security, sparking debates about the balance between privacy and safety. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of digital secret societies is their connection to modern conspiracy theories. The same tools that enable transparency and activism can also be used to spread disinformation and sow distrust. From QAnon to flat Earth communities, these groups thrive on the anonymity and reach of the internet, creating echo chambers where fringe ideas gain traction. The result is a world where the line between truth and fiction becomes increasingly blurred, and where the tools of secrecy can be used to either illuminate or obscure. As we look to the future, one question looms large: how will these digital societies evolve? Will they continue to serve as a force for accountability and change, or will the darker aspects of secrecy and anonymity dominate? The answer may depend on how we, as a society, choose to navigate this new landscape. Will we embrace the potential of these tools to empower individuals and protect privacy, or will we allow them to become instruments of division and control? The digital age has redefined what it means to be a secret society, transforming ancient traditions into something entirely new. From hacktivists to whistleblowers, from conspiracy theorists to privacy advocates, these groups remind us that secrecy is not just a relic of the past. It's a living, evolving force that continues to shape our world in profound and unexpected ways. And as we move forward, their story challenges us to think critically about the power of anonymity, the ethics of technology, and the future of human connection in an increasingly digital world. The Persian Empire, a sprawling realm that stretched from the Mediterranean to the Indus River, was not only a beacon of culture and power, but also a hotbed of hidden societies and enigmatic orders. Among these, two groups stand out for their profound influence: the Magi, a priestly caste steeped in mysticism and ritual, and the Immortals, an elite military unit shrouded in legend. These weren't just functional organizations, they were the lifeblood of the empire, shaping its religious, military, and political landscapes through secrecy, symbolism, and unwavering discipline. But who were these groups, and how did their hidden legacies shape one of history's greatest empires? The Magi, often associated with Zoroastrianism, the empire's dominant religion, were far more than just spiritual leaders. They were the keepers of sacred knowledge, entrusted with maintaining the cosmic balance between Ahura Mazda, the god of light and wisdom, and Angra Mainyu, the spirit of darkness and chaos. Their rituals, conducted in fire temples scattered across the empire, were elaborate and deeply symbolic. Fire, a central element in Zoroastrian worship, represented purity and divine presence, and its perpetual flame was a testament to the Magi's role as mediators between the earthly and the divine. But their influence extended beyond the spiritual. The Magi advised Persian kings, interpreting omens and guiding decisions that shaped the empire's policies. Their ability to blend religious authority with political savvy made them indispensable, ensuring that their voice was heard in the halls of power. Equally fascinating were the Immortals, an elite military corps that served as the backbone of the Persian army. Named for their uncanny ability to appear invincible, thanks to their practice of instantly replacing fallen soldiers to maintain a constant number of 10,000, the Immortals were a force to be reckoned with. Clad in gleaming armor and wielding spears and bows, they were not just soldiers but symbols of the Empire's might. Their training was rigorous, their loyalty absolute, and their presence on the battlefield a psychological weapon in itself. The Immortals' rituals, from their ceremonial marches to their initiation rites, reinforced their identity as a brotherhood bound by duty and honor. They were more than a fighting force. They were a living embodiment of the Persian Empire's strength and resilience. What made these groups so effective was their mastery of secrecy and symbolism. The Magi's rituals were designed to inspire awe and devotion, while the Immortals' disciplined formations and unbreakable unity struck fear into their enemies. Together, they projected an image of invincibility that helped the Persian Empire expand its borders and maintain its dominance for centuries. Yet, their power wasn't just about intimidation. It was about creating a sense of order and purpose in a vast and diverse empire. Through their actions, they reinforced the idea that the Persian king, or Shahanshah, was not just a ruler but a divine figure, chosen by Ahura Mazda to lead his people. However, as with all empires, the Persian Empire's decline was inevitable. The Magi's influence waned as Zoroastrianism faced challenges from other religions, while the Immortals' legendary prowess couldn't halt the Empire's fragmentation under the weight of internal strife and external invasions. Yet their legacies didn't vanish with the Empire. In modern Iran and Central Asia, traces of their traditions can still be found. Zoroastrian festivals like Nowruz, the Persian New Year, continue to be celebrated, blending ancient rituals with contemporary customs. The Immortals' legacy lives on in the region's martial traditions, inspiring stories of heroism and sacrifice that resonate to this day. The Magi and the Immortals remind us that secrecy and symbolism are more than tools of power. They are ways of preserving identity and meaning in a changing world. Their stories challenge us to look beyond the surface of history, to see the hidden forces that shape civilizations and endure long after empires fall. And as we explore the legacies of other great empires, we'll see how these ancient traditions continue to influence the modern world, offering insights into the enduring power of faith, loyalty, and the human desire for connection. As humanity reached for the stars during the space age, the world of secret societies didn't fade into the background. It evolved, taking on new forms and weaving itself into the fabric of space exploration, science fiction, and popular culture. From the halls of NASA to the pages of speculative fiction, whispers of hidden influences and ancient connections have sparked endless fascination and debate. What role did these societies play in humanity's journey beyond Earth, and how do their alleged ties to occultism, ancient astronaut theories, and cutting-edge science shape our understanding of the cosmos? One of the most intriguing aspects of this era is the persistent rumors linking NASA to occult symbolism and esoteric traditions. Some theorists point to the use of Masonic symbols and rituals among early astronauts and engineers, suggesting a deeper, hidden connection between space exploration and ancient wisdom. For example, the Apollo program's lunar missions have been scrutinized for their alleged use of numerological and astrological symbolism, from the timing of launches to the design of mission patches. While skeptics dismiss these claims as coincidental or exaggerated, they highlight the enduring allure of secrecy in a field defined by openness and discovery. Equally captivating are the ancient astronaut theories, popularized by figures like Erich von Däniken, which propose that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in antiquity, sharing advanced knowledge with early civilizations. These ideas, often tied to secret societies, suggest that humanity's quest to explore space may be rooted in a desire to reconnect with these ancient teachers. For some, this theory offers a tantalizing explanation for the rapid advancements in space technology during the 20th century, framing NASA achievements as part of a larger, cosmic narrative. The influence of secret societies extends beyond the technical and into the realm of imagination. Science fiction, from novels to films, has long drawn inspiration from these themes, weaving stories of hidden knowledge, alien encounters, and interstellar conspiracies. Works like 2001, A Space Odyssey, and The X-Files explore the idea that humanity's journey into space is guided by forces we cannot fully comprehend. These narratives, while fictional, reflect a deeper cultural fascination with the unknown and the possibility that our exploration of the cosmos is part of a larger, more mysterious plan. But it's not just fiction that has been shaped by these ideas. Real-world space programs, from NASA to private ventures like SpaceX, have been influenced by the visionary thinking often associated with secret societies. Figures like Wernher von Braun, a key architect of the Apollo program, were known for their grand visions of space colonization and the belief that humanity's destiny lies among the stars. These ideas, rooted in both scientific ambition and philosophical inquiry, echo the themes of enlightenment and transformation that have long been central to secret societies. As we look to the future, the role of these societies in shaping humanity's path into space remains an open question. Will their influence continue to inspire innovation and exploration, or will their secrecy and mysticism fuel new waves of conspiracy theories and speculation? The answer may lie in how we balance the pursuit of knowledge with the need for transparency and trust. The space age reminds us that the drive to explore the unknown is as much about the mysteries within ourselves as it is about the stars above. Whether through the lens of science, fiction, or the tantalizing hints of hidden influences, our journey into the cosmos invites us to dream, question, and imagine what lies beyond the horizon. And as we stand on the brink of new discoveries, the stories of secret societies offer a fascinating glimpse into the ways in which the past, present, and future are intertwined in humanity's quest to reach the stars. The Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous land empire in history, was built not just on the strength of its armies, but also on the intricate web of secretive groups that operated within its vast expanse. Among these, the Keshig and the Nestorian Christians stand out as two of the most fascinating and influential groups whose use of rituals, symbols, and secrecy helped shape the empire's rise and fall. Their stories reveal how hidden networks of power can leave lasting imprints on history, even as the empires they served fade into the past. At the heart of the Mongol Empire's military might was the Keshig, an elite guard tasked with protecting the Great Khan and his family. But the Keshig were more than just bodyguards. They were a symbol of loyalty and discipline, embodying the values that held the empire together. Selected from the most skilled and trustworthy warriors, they underwent rigorous training and initiation rites, forging them into a brotherhood bound by unbreakable oaths. Their role extended beyond the battlefield. They were also advisors and enforcers, ensuring the Khan's commands were carried out across the empire's sprawling territories. The Keshig's secrecy and exclusivity made them a powerful tool for maintaining order, their presence alone enough to quell dissent and inspire awe. Alongside the Keshig, another group quietly wielded influence within the Mongol Empire, the Nestorian Christians. This ancient Christian sect, which had spread eastward along the Silk Road, found a surprising ally in the Mongols. Unlike many empires, the Mongols were remarkably tolerant of religious diversity, seeing it as a way to unify their diverse subjects. The Nestorians, with their deep roots in Central Asia, became trusted advisors to the Mongol elite, offering spiritual guidance and diplomatic connections. Their rituals and symbols, blending Christian iconography with local traditions, resonated with the Mongols' pragmatic approach to faith. Figures like Sorgatani Biki, the mother of Kublai Khan, were known to support Nestorian Christianity, using its networks to strengthen the empire's political and cultural ties. The Nestorians' influence extended beyond religion. They played a key role in the Mongol Empire's interactions with the West, acting as intermediaries during diplomatic missions and trade negotiations. Their ability to navigate the complex web of Mongol politics made them indispensable, their presence a testament to the empire's adaptability and openness to outside ideas. Yet, their power was always tempered by the Mongols' pragmatic approach to governance, which prioritized loyalty and utility over dogma. Despite their contributions, the Mongol Empire's decline eventually diminished the influence of both the Keshig and the Nestorians. The fragmentation of the empire into smaller khanates, coupled with the rise of new powers like the Ming dynasty and the Ottoman Empire, marked the end of their golden age. Yet, their legacies endure in unexpected ways. In modern Mongolia, the Keshig's traditions of loyalty and discipline are celebrated as part of the nation's cultural heritage, their spirit reflected in the country's military and civic institutions. Meanwhile, the Nestorians' legacy lives on in the Christian communities of Central Asia, where their ancient churches and traditions continue to be cherished. These hidden legacies remind us that the Mongol Empire's story is not just one of conquest and decline, but also of adaptation and resilience. The Keshig and the Nestorians, through their use of secrecy and symbolism, played vital roles in shaping an empire that reshaped the world. Their stories challenge us to look beyond the surface of history, to see the ways in which power, faith, and tradition intertwine to create lasting legacies. And as we turn our gaze to the modern world, we'll explore how these ancient threads continue to influence the cultures and societies of Central Asia, offering a glimpse into the enduring power of the past. In the modern era, where information flows faster than ever and transparency is often demanded, secret societies have not vanished, they've adapted. Groups like the Bilderberg Group and the Bohemian Grove continue to operate in the shadows, drawing scrutiny and fascination for their alleged influence on global politics, economics, and culture. Unlike the ancient brotherhoods of the past, these modern societies exist in a world of instant communication and relentless scrutiny. Yet, their use of secrecy, symbolism, and exclusivity keeps them shrouded in mystery, fueling endless speculation and debate. What exactly do these groups do, and how do they wield their influence in a world that craves openness? The Bilderberg Group, founded in 1954, is perhaps the most famous of these modern societies. Named after the Dutch hotel where the first meeting took place, this annual gathering brings together some of the most powerful figures in politics, business, and media. Attendees include heads of state, CEOs of multinational corporations, and influential academics, all meeting behind closed doors under the Chatham House rule, which ensures that discussions remain confidential. The stated purpose of the Bilderberg meetings is to foster dialogue on global issues, from economic policy to geopolitical security. Yet, the lack of transparency surrounding these gatherings has led to widespread speculation about their true agenda. Critics argue that the Bilderberg Group is a shadowy cabal shaping the world's future without public input, while supporters see it as a necessary forum for high-level collaboration in an increasingly complex world. Similarly enigmatic is the Bohemian Grove, a retreat held annually in the redwood forests of Northern California. Since its founding in the late 19th century, this exclusive gathering has attracted elite figures from politics, entertainment, and industry. The Grove is known for its theatrical rituals, including the cremation of care, a symbolic ceremony meant to rid attendees of their worldly concerns. While many dismiss these rituals as harmless pageantry, others see them as evidence of deeper, more sinister connections. Like the Bilderberg Group, the Bohemian Grove operates under a veil of secrecy, with attendees sworn to confidentiality. This exclusivity has made it a focal point for conspiracy theories, with some claiming it's a breeding ground for covert alliances and hidden agendas. What sets these modern societies apart is their ability to blend tradition with contemporary relevance. They continue to use secrecy and symbolism to create a sense of belonging and purpose among their members, much like the ancient brotherhoods of the past. Yet their influence extends far beyond their closed doors. Critics argue that the decisions made at these gatherings, whether about economic policy, global security, or cultural trends, have a ripple effect that impacts the lives of millions. Supporters, on the other hand, see them as necessary spaces for dialogue and collaboration in a world where public scrutiny can stifle honest conversation. The connection between these societies and modern conspiracy theories is impossible to ignore, from claims of a new world order to accusations of global domination. The Bilderberg Group and the Bohemian Grove have become symbols of hidden power in the popular imagination. These theories, while often lacking concrete evidence, reflect a broader cultural anxiety about the concentration of power and the lack of transparency in global decision-making. They also highlight the enduring human fascination with secrecy and the unknown, a fascination that these societies both embody and exploit. As we look to the future, one question looms large: how will these secret societies evolve in an age of increasing scrutiny and demand for accountability? Will they continue to operate behind closed doors, or will the pressure for transparency force them to adapt? The answer may depend on how we, as a society, choose to navigate the tension between the need for privacy and the demand for openness. These groups remind us that secrecy, whether for good or ill, remains a powerful tool in shaping the world. And as we continue to explore the hidden legacies of secret societies, their story challenges us to think critically about the role of power, influence, and mystery in our modern world, and what it might mean for the future. The Viking Age, often romanticized for its daring raids and seafaring prowess, was also a time of profound complexity within Norse society. Beneath the surface of their legendary exploits lay a world of secretive groups and enigmatic figures who wielded significant influence over warfare, religion, and governance. Among these, the Berserkers and the Valva stand out as two of the most intriguing groups whose use of rituals, symbols, and secrecy helped shape the Viking world and left a legacy that still resonates today. The Berserkers, feared warriors said to fight in a trance-like state of rage, were more than just elite soldiers. They were a brotherhood bound by ritual and myth, often associated with the god Odin, the All-Father. According to sagas, berserkers would enter battle without armor, their bodies seemingly impervious to pain, fueled by a supernatural frenzy known as berserker gang. This state, possibly induced by hallucinogens or deep psychological conditioning, made them both revered and feared. Their rituals, which may have included chanting, drumming, and the wearing of animal pelts, were designed to invoke the spirit of the bear or wolf, creatures sacred to Odin. These practices not only bolstered their reputation as unstoppable warriors, but also reinforced their role as protectors of the community, their presence a symbol of divine favor and martial strength. Equally fascinating were the Volva, female seers and practitioners of magic who held a unique position in Viking society. These women, often cloaked in mystery, were believed to possess the ability to commune with the gods, predict the future, and influence the outcomes of battles and harvests. Their rituals, which included the use of staffs, runes, and trance-like states, were deeply symbolic, blending the spiritual with the practical. The Volva's role extended beyond prophecy. They were advisors to chieftains, mediators in disputes, and guardians of sacred knowledge. Their presence in Viking sagas, such as the Verla Spa, underscores their importance as keepers of wisdom and tradition, their influence woven into the fabric of Norse culture. What made these groups so powerful was their mastery of secrecy and symbolism. The berserkers' rituals and animalistic personas created an aura of invincibility, while the Volva's mysterious practices inspired both reverence and fear. Together, they embodied the duality of Viking society, its raw, untamed strength and its deep spiritual connection to the natural and supernatural worlds. Their influence extended beyond the battlefield and the seer's tent, shaping the decisions of leaders and the destiny of communities. As the Viking Age drew to a close, these secretive groups faced dramatic changes. The spread of Christianity and the consolidation of kingdoms in Scandinavia eroded the old ways, reducing the roles of the berserkers and the Volva. Yet, their legacies didn't disappear. In modern Scandinavia, traces of their traditions can be found in folklore, art, and even language. The berserkers' ferocity lives on in stories and cultural symbols, while the Volva's wisdom is echoed in the region's rich heritage of storytelling and spiritual practices. These hidden legacies remind us that the Viking Age was not just a time of conquest and exploration, but also of profound cultural and spiritual complexity. The berserkers and the Volva, through their use of secrecy and symbolism, played vital roles in shaping a society that continues to captivate our imagination. Their stories challenge us to look beyond the myths and see the ways in which power, faith, and tradition intertwine to create lasting legacies. And as we explore the modern echoes of their influence, we're reminded that the past is never truly gone. It lives on in the tales we tell, the traditions we uphold, and the identities we cherish. The art world, often seen as a realm of creativity and expression, has also been a fertile ground for secret societies and exclusive brotherhoods. These groups, united by shared visions and hidden rituals, have shaped the course of art history, leaving behind legacies that continue to inspire and intrigue. Among the most influential were the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood and the Surrealists, two movements that, despite their differences, shared a fascination with symbolism, secrecy, and the power of imagination to challenge the status quo. The Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, founded in 1848 by a group of young British artists, was a rebellion against the rigid conventions of the Victorian art establishment. Frustrated by the academic emphasis on classical forms and idealized beauty, they sought to return to the vivid colors, intricate details, and emotional depth of art before the time of Raphael, hence their name. But their mission went deeper than aesthetics. The Brotherhood operated as a close-knit circle, bound by secrecy and shared ideals. They used coded symbols in their works, embedding layers of meaning that only the initiated could fully decipher. From the hauntingly detailed paintings of John Everett Millais to the ethereal works of Dante Gabriel Rossetti, their art became a visual language, rich with allegory and myth. Their influence extended beyond the canvas, inspiring writers like William Morris and shaping the arts and crafts movement, which sought to elevate everyday objects to the level of fine art. A century later, the Surrealists emerged as another revolutionary force, this time in the aftermath of World War I. Led by figures like André Breton and Salvador Dali, this movement sought to unlock the power of the subconscious mind, blending dreams, fantasies, and the irrational into their works. The Surrealists weren't just artists, they were explorers of the human psyche, using their art to challenge societal norms and question the nature of reality itself. Their gatherings, often held in secret, were filled with games, experiments, and rituals designed to bypass rational thought and tap into the hidden depths of creativity. The results were astonishing paintings like Dali's The Persistence of Memory and René Magritte's The Son of Man became iconic, their enigmatic imagery sparking endless interpretations and debates. What makes these societies so compelling is not just their art but their use of secrecy and exclusivity to create a sense of belonging and purpose. The Pre-Raphaelites and the Surrealists weren't just making art, they were building communities, united by a shared vision of what art could be. Their rituals and symbols, whether the Pre-Raphaelites' medieval-inspired motifs or the Surrealists' dreamlike imagery, served as gateways to deeper understanding, inviting viewers to look beyond the surface and explore the hidden meanings within. The influence of these societies extends far beyond their own time. The Pre-Raphaelites' emphasis on storytelling and symbolism can be seen in modern fantasy art and literature, from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings to the intricate world-building of contemporary graphic novels. The Surrealists, meanwhile, have left an indelible mark on everything from film and fashion to psychology and advertising. Their exploration of the subconscious has inspired generations of artists, writers, and thinkers, proving that the boundaries between reality and imagination are more fluid than we might think. Yet, the legacy of these societies isn't without controversy. Their exclusivity and secrecy have made them ripe for conspiracy theories, with some suggesting that their works contain hidden messages or allegiances to occult traditions. While these claims are often speculative, they highlight the enduring fascination with the idea of art as a conduit for hidden knowledge, whether through the Pre-Raphaelites' medieval mysticism or the Surrealists' dreamscapes. These societies remind us that art is more than just decoration. It's a window into the human soul, a tool for questioning, healing, and transforming the world. As we look to the future, one question lingers: how will the traditions of secrecy and symbolism shape the art of tomorrow? In an age of digital media and instant communication, will new societies emerge to challenge our perceptions and push the boundaries of creativity? Or will the open, collaborative nature of the modern art world render such exclusivity obsolete? Whatever the answer, the stories of the Pre-Raphaelites and the Surrealists remind us that art is at its most powerful when it dares to explore the unknown, inviting us to see the world and ourselves in new and unexpected ways. During the Middle Ages, as Europe's cities began to flourish and trade routes expanded, one network stood above the rest, the Hanseatic League. This powerful alliance of merchant cities, stretching from the Baltic Sea to the North Sea, wasn't just a hub of commerce. It was a political and cultural force that shaped the course of medieval Europe. But behind the bustling markets and towering warehouses lay a world of secrecy, where merchant guilds and the Teutonic Knights wielded immense influence, using rituals, symbols, and covert strategies to maintain their power. What were the hidden mechanisms that drove this league to greatness, and how did their secrets contribute to both its rise and its eventual decline? At the heart of the Hanseatic League were the merchant guilds, tightly knit groups of traders who controlled the flow of goods across Europe. These guilds were more than just business associations. They were secretive brotherhoods bound by oaths, shared knowledge, and a strict code of conduct. Membership was exclusive, often requiring years of apprenticeship and initiation rituals that symbolized a trader's commitment to the guild's values. These rituals weren't just symbolic, they reinforced loyalty and trust among members, creating a network of merchants who could rely on one another in distant ports and foreign lands. The guilds also used symbols, like the Hanseatic cog ship, as a mark of identity and authority, ensuring that their presence was recognized and respected wherever they traded. But the merchant guilds weren't the only players in this intricate system. The Teutonic Knights, a military order originally founded to protect Christian pilgrims, became key allies of the Hanseatic League. As the League expanded into the Baltic region, the Knights provided protection for trading posts and helped secure vital routes. Their involvement wasn't purely altruistic. They benefited from the wealth generated by trade, using it to fund their own campaigns and fortify their influence. The Knights' rituals and symbols, steeped in Christian mysticism, added a layer of spiritual authority to their role, making them both feared and revered. Together, the merchant guilds and the Teutonic Knights formed a formidable alliance, blending commerce, faith, and military might to create a network that dominated medieval Europe. The Hanseatic League's use of secrecy and symbolism wasn't just about maintaining power, it was about survival. In a world where piracy, political intrigue, and shifting alliances were constant threats, these groups relied on their hidden networks to protect their interests. Codes of conduct, secret handshakes, and encrypted messages allowed them to communicate securely, while their shared rituals fostered a sense of unity that transcended geographic and cultural boundaries. This combination of pragmatism and mysticism helped the League expand its reach, establishing trading posts as far away as Novgorod in Russia and Bruges in Flanders. However, the very factors that fueled the League's success also sowed the seeds of its decline. As centralized nation-states began to emerge in Europe, the League's decentralized structure and reliance on secrecy became liabilities. Rival powers, like England and the Dutch Republic, began to challenge the Hanseatic monopoly, while internal divisions weakened its cohesion. The merchant guilds and the Teutonic Knights, once pillars of strength, found themselves struggling to adapt to a changing world. By the 17th century, the Hanseatic League had largely faded into history, its once mighty network reduced to a handful of cities clinging to its legacy. Yet, the influence of the Hanseatic League endures in surprising ways. In modern Europe, cities like Hamburg, Lübeck, and Bremen still bear the marks of their Hanseatic past, from their historic architecture to their cultural traditions. The League's emphasis on cooperation and mutual support has inspired contemporary trade organizations, while its use of symbols and rituals continues to resonate in the rituals of modern fraternal orders. Even the idea of a united Europe, with its emphasis on shared economic and cultural ties, can trace some of its roots back to the Hanseatic vision of interconnected cities working together for mutual benefit. The story of the Hanseatic League reminds us that power isn't always wielded in the open. Through their use of secrecy, symbolism, and shared purpose, the League's merchant guilds and the Teutonic Knights created a legacy that transcended their time, shaping the course of European history in ways that still echo today. As we explore the hidden legacies of these groups, we're reminded that the past is never truly gone. It lives on in the traditions we uphold, the connections we forge, and the stories we tell. And as we turn our attention to the next chapter in the history of secret societies, we'll see how these ancient threads continue to weave their way into the fabric of our modern world. The world of music, with its rhythms, melodies, and lyrics, has always been a powerful force for expression and connection. But beneath the surface of chart-topping hits and iconic performances lies a hidden layer of intrigue, a world where secret societies, symbolism, and whispers of the occult have shaped the sounds and stories of some of the most influential artists in history. From the blues clubs of the American South to the grand stages of rock and pop, these enigmatic groups have left their mark on the music industry in ways that continue to captivate and mystify. Take, for example, the legendary blues musician Robert Johnson. His story is steeped in myth, with tales of a fateful meeting at a crossroads where he allegedly sold his soul to the devil in exchange for unparalleled musical talent. While the truth behind this legend remains elusive, it reflects a broader fascination with the idea of hidden forces shaping artistic genius. Johnson's haunting lyrics and masterful guitar work have inspired generations of musicians, from Eric Clapton to the Rolling Stones, embedding the symbolism of the crossroads into the DNA of rock and blues. Moving forward in time, the rock and roll era brought its own wave of secretive influences. Bands like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles were known for incorporating occult symbolism into their music and album art. Led Zeppelin's fascination with mysticism is evident in songs like Stairway to Heaven, with its cryptic lyrics and references to ancient mythologies. Similarly, the Beatles' experimentation with Eastern spirituality and esoteric themes, influenced by figures like the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, added layers of depth to their music, resonating with fans who sought more than just catchy tunes. In the realm of hip-hop, secret societies and symbolism have also played a significant role. Artists like Jay-Z and Kanye West have been accused of embedding Illuminati imagery into their work, from album covers to music videos. Whether these references are meant as commentary, satire, or something more profound, they've sparked endless debates and conspiracy theories. The use of eye symbols, pyramids, and other occult motifs has become a recurring theme in hip-hop culture, blurring the line between artistic expression and hidden messages. But why do these themes persist in the music industry? For some, the allure lies in the mystery itself, the idea that there's more to the music than meets the eye. For others, it's about tapping into a sense of exclusivity and power, creating a narrative that elevates the artist beyond mere celebrity. Secret societies, whether real or imagined, offer a way to connect with something larger, something timeless. They provide a framework for exploring themes of transformation, rebellion, and transcendence, themes that resonate deeply in a world where music often serves as a voice for the voiceless. The influence of these societies isn't limited to lyrics and imagery. It extends to the very structure of the music industry. Exclusive groups and inner circles, from the infamous 27 Club to modern-day collectives, have shaped careers, trends, and even the direction of entire genres. These networks, often operating behind the scenes, wields significant influence over what we hear and how we experience music. As we look to the future, one can't help but wonder, how will these hidden influences continue to shape the music industry? In an age of digital streaming and social media, where access to music is more democratic than ever, will the allure of secrecy and exclusivity fade, or will it evolve, finding new ways to captivate and inspire? The answer may lie in the enduring human desire for connection, meaning, and a touch of the mysterious. The secret societies of the music industry remind us that art is never just about the notes or the words. It's about the stories we tell, the symbols we share, and the questions we leave unanswered. Whether through a bluesman's pact with the devil or a rapper's cryptic references, these hidden threads weave a tapestry of intrigue that continues to shape the soundscape of our lives. And as new artists rise and new genres emerge, the legacy of these societies will undoubtedly play a role in the melodies of tomorrow. The Silk Road, that ancient network of trade routes connecting the East and West, was far more than a highway for goods. It was a melting pot of cultures, ideas, and yes, secrets. Along its winding paths, hidden societies thrived, weaving their influence into the fabric of history. Among these, two groups stand out for their mastery of trade, espionage, and cultural exchange: the Sogdian merchants and the enigmatic assassins. These weren't just traders or warriors, they were architects of influence, using rituals, symbols, and secrecy to shape the destiny of one of the world's most important trade networks. The Sogdians, hailing from the fertile valleys of Central Asia, were the backbone of Silk Road commerce. These merchants were more than just skilled traders, they were diplomats, linguists, and cultural intermediaries. Fluent in multiple languages and adept at navigating the complexities of diverse cultures, the Sogdians became indispensable to the flow of goods and ideas between China, Persia, and the Byzantine Empire. But what truly set them apart was their use of secrecy to protect their interests. Sogdian caravans operated like mobile fortresses, with intricate systems of codes and signals to ensure safe passage through treacherous terrain. Their rituals, often tied to Zoroastrian and Buddhist traditions, reinforced a sense of unity and trust among their members, creating a network that was as resilient as it was expansive. Equally fascinating were the assassins, a shadowy group that emerged in the rugged mountains of Persia. Officially known as the Nizari Ismailis, this sect gained notoriety for their use of targeted killings to achieve political and religious goals. The assassins' reputation for precision and secrecy made them a formidable force, with their influence extending far beyond their mountain strongholds. Their leader, the enigmatic Hassan I Saba, cultivated an aura of mystery, using symbols and rituals to bind his followers together. Initiates underwent rigorous training and indoctrination, often involving the use of hallucinogens to create visions of paradise, reinforcing their loyalty and fearlessness. The assassins' ability to strike fear into the hearts of kings and conquerors made them both feared and respected, their name becoming synonymous with covert power. Yet, the legacies of these groups extend beyond their immediate actions. The Sogdians' role as cultural intermediaries helped spread art, religion, and technology across continents, laying the groundwork for the interconnected world we know today. Their influence can be seen in the architecture of Central Asian cities, the spread of Buddhism along the Silk Road, and even the adoption of paper-making techniques in the Islamic world. Similarly, the assassins' tactics and symbolism influenced later secret societies, from the Knights Templar to modern espionage networks. Their use of secrecy and psychological warfare remains a subject of study for historians and strategists alike. Today, the echoes of these hidden legacies can still be felt in modern Central Asia. Cities like Samarkand and Bukhara, once hubs of Sogdian trade, continue to celebrate their rich heritage through vibrant bazaars and UNESCO-listed monuments. Meanwhile, the Assassins' mountain fortresses, like Alamut in Iran, attract adventurers and scholars eager to uncover the secrets of their past. The Silk Road's spirit of connection and exchange lives on in initiatives like China's Belt and Road Project, which seeks to revive the ancient network for a new era. The stories of the Sogdians and the Assassins remind us that the Silk Road was more than a route for silk and spices. It was a stage for the interplay of power, culture, and secrecy. Their ability to navigate this complex landscape, using rituals and symbols to maintain their influence, offers a fascinating glimpse into the hidden forces that shaped history. And as we continue to explore the legacies of the Silk Road, we're reminded that the past is never truly gone. It's woven into the fabric of the present, waiting to be discovered. Hollywood, the land of glitz, glamour, and blockbuster dreams, has always been a place where reality and fantasy blur. But beneath the red carpets and silver screens lies a world of whispers, one where secret societies and hidden symbolism are said to play a role in shaping the stories we watch and the culture we consume. From the golden age of cinema to today's streaming era, the film industry has been a fertile ground for rumors of occult connections, exclusive clubs, and cryptic messages embedded in movies. Whether these claims are rooted in truth or myth, they've sparked endless fascination and debate, leaving us to wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. One of the most enduring theories revolves around the alleged use of occult symbolism in Hollywood films. Directors like Stanley Kubrick and Alfred Hitchcock are often cited as masters of embedding hidden meanings into their work. Kubrick's The Shining, for example, is a treasure trove of cryptic imagery, from the infamous carpet pattern to the recurring number 237. Some theorists argue that these symbols are more than just artistic choices. They're part of a larger narrative tied to secret societies or esoteric traditions. Similarly, Hitchcock's Vertigo has been analyzed for its use of spiral motifs, which some link to themes of transformation and the subconscious. While these interpretations are speculative, they highlight the film industry's ability to captivate audiences not just with stories, but with layers of hidden meaning. Beyond symbolism, the film industry has long been associated with exclusive clubs and societies that operate behind closed doors. One of the most famous is the Bohemian Club, an elite men's organization that counts Hollywood heavyweights among its members. Known for its annual retreat at Bohemian Grove, where attendees participate in theatrical rituals like the cremation of care, this group has been the subject of countless conspiracy theories. Critics argue that such gatherings foster connections that influence casting decisions, film financing, and even the themes of major productions. While the club denies any direct influence over Hollywood, its aura of secrecy and exclusivity continues to fuel speculation about its role in shaping the entertainment landscape. The influence of these societies isn't limited to behind-the-scenes maneuvering, it's also reflected in the genres and narratives that dominate the box office. Films like The Da Vinci Code and Eyes Wide Shut have brought secret societies to the forefront, blending fact and fiction to create stories that resonate with audiences. These movies tap into a deep-seated curiosity about hidden power structures, offering viewers a glimpse into worlds where nothing is as it seems. At the same time, they've also contributed to the rise of modern conspiracy theories, with some claiming that Hollywood itself is a tool for spreading hidden agendas or controlling public perception. But what does this mean for the future of film? As the industry evolves in the digital age, the role of secret societies, real or imagined, is likely to change. Streaming platforms and social media have democratized access to filmmaking, giving rise to new voices and perspectives that challenge traditional power structures. Yet, the allure of secrecy and exclusivity remains, with some filmmakers using these themes to explore questions of identity, power, and the nature of reality. From the dystopian worlds of Black Mirror to the mind-bending narratives of Christopher Nolan, the influence of hidden societies continues to inspire stories that push the boundaries of imagination. Whether these societies are fact or fiction, their impact on the film industry is undeniable. They remind us that storytelling is more than entertainment. It's a way to explore the mysteries of the human experience. And as we look to the future, one thing is certain: the stories we tell will continue to reflect our fascination with the unknown, inviting us to question, dream, and imagine what lies beyond the screen. The Crusades, a series of holy wars that spanned centuries, are often remembered for their epic battles, religious fervor, and the clash of civilizations. But beneath the surface of these monumental events, a hidden world of secret societies operated, shaping the course of history through espionage, diplomacy, and the art of war. Among these groups, the Knights Hospitaller and the Hashashin stand out as two of the most influential and enigmatic. Their use of secrecy, rituals, and symbolism not only defined their roles in the Crusades, but also left a lasting imprint on the regions they touched. The Knights Hospitaller, originally founded as a charitable order to care for sick and wounded pilgrims in Jerusalem, evolved into a formidable military force. Over time, their mission expanded to include the defense of Christian territories in the Holy Land. What set them apart was their ability to blend humanitarian ideals with martial discipline. Their initiation rituals, steeped in Christian symbolism, reinforced a sense of brotherhood and purpose among their ranks. The white cross emblazoned on their black cloaks became a symbol of their dual identity: healers and warriors. This unique combination made them indispensable to the Crusader states, where they not only fought on the front lines but also managed hospitals, fortresses, and supply lines. Their organizational prowess and strategic acumen helped sustain the Crusader presence in the Levant long after other forces faltered. On the other side of the conflict, the Hashashin, or assassins, emerged as a shadowy force that struck fear into the hearts of Crusaders and Muslim rulers alike. Based in the rugged mountains of Persia and Syria, this secretive sect specialized in targeted assassinations and psychological warfare. Their leader, Hassan I-Saba, was a master of strategy, using the element of surprise and the mystique of his followers to destabilize his enemies. The Hashashins' initiation rites were shrouded in secrecy, with new recruits reportedly subjected to mind-altering experiences to test their loyalty. Their reputation for precision and ruthlessness made them a powerful tool in the political chessboard of the Middle East, often tipping the balance of power in subtle but significant ways. What made these groups so effective was their mastery of secrecy and symbolism. The Knights Hospitallers' rituals and symbols not only inspired loyalty, but also projected an image of divine sanction, bolstering their authority both on and off the battlefield. The Hashashin, meanwhile, used fear and mystery as weapons, their very name becoming synonymous with covert power. Both groups understood that influence often lies not in sheer force, but in the ability to control perception and inspire awe. The legacies of these societies extend far beyond the Crusades. In modern Europe, the Knights Hospitallers' traditions live on through organizations like the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, which continues their mission of humanitarian service. Meanwhile, the Hashashin's tactics and symbolism have influenced everything from modern espionage techniques to popular culture, with their name and methods appearing in books, films, and video games. In the Middle East, their stories are woven into the region's rich tapestry of history, serving as reminders of a time when secrecy and strategy shaped the fate of empires. As we reflect on these hidden legacies, it's clear that the Crusades were more than just a clash of armies. They were a stage for the interplay of power, faith, and secrecy. The Knights Hospitaller and the Hashashin remind us that history is often shaped not just by what happens in the open, but by the unseen forces that operate in the shadows. Their stories challenge us to look beyond the surface, to see the ways in which symbols, rituals, and hidden networks can shape the course of history. And as we turn our gaze to the modern world, we'll explore how these ancient traditions continue to influence the cultures and societies of today, offering a glimpse into the enduring power of the past.